No DQ Galaxy. We are live with not just any Q&A, but the greatest wrestling Q&A ever. That's going to be a lot to deliver, but we will do our best here. This is a NoDQ.com and Jeff Meacham Network production. I am Aaron Rift. I'm being joined by good old JM, Jeff Meacham. Jeff, 20 years since NoDQ Media's launch, NoDQ's 24th birthday today. How are you feeling 20 years later after covering wrestling for so long?
I always feel weird that today is the site's anniversary. It's actually my late grandmother's birthday, not the one you met, but my mom's mom. So it's just kind of funny how that works out with the world. But yeah, I was following WWF from the very beginning because, hey, it combined both wrestling websites. That's pretty cool. We're 15 years old, like whatever, right? Yeah. It was fun. Actually, you were getting ready to turn 16 because it was you're just a few months ahead of me. But 20 years we've been doing this. I talked about it when we did Talk Wrestling's anniversary. You were on with me then. It's 15 for that show and 20 for you and I overall. I never imagined I'd be sitting here, on the cusp of both of us turning 40, still doing this shit.
It's been a long time, man, but we're still going strong. Now, before we get into the questions, and we have a lot of questions, and I very much appreciate all the super chat questions. Those will get priority, and then we'll dig into our non-super chat questions. Now, we started way back in the day, NoDQ Media 2002, but before that, I did launch WWFWCW.com, which if you head over to that domain, you'll see that a certain somebody regained control of that domain. Did you know that?
I did know that, actually. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah. It was available, and I'm like, why not bring it back? So
are you still in issues with the other domain name?
The Mayhem?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure where things stand with that domain name, but it's okay. No biggie.
Yeah.
All right. So 1998 is when I first launched WWFWCW.com. It started actually as a free site on Tripod, members.tripod.com. That is way back in the day on one of those free sites.
Yes.
And then it became WWFWCW.com. So, Jeff, you made this graphic for us. Let me throw it up here just to put into perspective the wrestling landscape in 1998.
Yes.
These were the champions, including Vacant.
Yes, Vacant was a champion even then. Before he even existed on Twitter, he existed as the reigning WWF champion, as did Ken Shamrock in his NoDQ logo face as the Intercontinental champion. It's scary to think that when you first started was in the Goldberg era, the Streak era. And if you're like me, if you're looking at this graphic and going, Kenny Chaos amongst this group, one of these people doesn't belong here.
Where's Judy Bagwell? She was a tag champ.
That's right. Now, was she champion during that Rick Steiner reign, or was that the next year?
She was champ like right around that time, October 98.
It got hurt.
You should have you missed opportunity, Jeff.
Well, no, because I think the Judy Bagwell thing actually was after you started. So, it is what it is. But anyway, yeah. I mean, you can see even then how it was starting to go a little off the rails for WCW. You had Rick Steiner and Kenny Chaos, and then Judy Bagwell as World Tag Team Champions. But still a great group of people there. And yes, the Survivor Series Deadly Games tournament was literally 10 days away at the time NoDQ launched. No, I'm sorry, 7 days away because it was the 8th. And it was either the 15th or the 16th. It was Survivor Series. So 1 week away from Survivor Series was when this guy started it all.
Yep. And in late 2000, early 2021, had a little legal issue. And then we transferred over to the mayhem.com. And then in 2002, you came along. You were like a correspondent. You were sending me match results from the Staples Center and that sort of thing. You were at WrestleMania 16. You sent me notes on that.
I was, yes. The first thing I wrote for you was from the pond at WrestleMania because I had been following the site for the year and a half prior to that. And it was my first wrestling show in 6 years because the last time I had went to, yes, Dusty. It's funny. when I saw Dustin at that event that you posted footage of, he remembered that once I triggered the memory, and we got a chuckle. It was funnier in hell. So yeah, even Dustin remembers Dusty roasting good old JM after I had to go tend to the kids, if you will.
Yeah, I'll explain that in just a second here.
Yes.
In 2002, there was this idea pitched to do what is now known as a podcast,
right?
An audio show back then.
Yes.
With, we're going to mention his name, Mike Nagel and Jeff Meacham. Mike was the one that wanted to get it going, and we needed a co-host. And that's when I think I put out something on the website, or Mike did, just asking if anybody wanted to be a co-host for a podcast, and you responded, correct?
If I remember right, it was either you put the post out for the general public, or you may even email me directly, because I remember getting a direct email from you sometime in that summer. So it may have been, I appreciate the comparison to Sean Mooney. Sean Mooney's a decent dude. And Adrian, again, thank you for the contribution to the Trevor Project after Logan Paul got every part of his body smashed to pieces on Saturday. I appreciate you, as does everybody at the Trevor Project. So thank you, Adrian. Yeah, it was one of those, I had been following, and I had never done anything like that. I wasn't even in performance art yet. I hadn't done anything with Rocky Horror or anything. So, doing the show we did, Extreme Mayhem, really kind of let me come out of my creative shell. And, here, like I said, here we sit 20 years later, we're still both going strong.
This may be a long video, guys, because we do have a lot of super chats already. Plus, we got our Q&A questions, but we're gonna get to it here in just a second. Jeff, I want to throw up the 2002 graphic, which is when Extreme Mayhem, the first NoDQ podcast, audio show, whatever you want to call it, began. These were the champions.
Yeah, so you figured the WWE had 2 world champions. We had TNA had started that summer. Ring of Honor started before we did as well, back in February. So these are the folks that were holding the championships. You notice only 2 Ring of Honor titles at that point, just the world champion, or not even the world championship yet. It was just the championship and the tag team championship. And Chris Daniels is still active in the ring. He's on his farewell tour, I understand. Brock Lesnar's still active when he, isn't a part-timer. R-Truth, who looks exactly the same. I think he looks younger now than he does then. Jesus. And then you got Harrison Storm, and who was the ex? Oh, Jerry Lynn, who is still active, just not in the ring. He's still doing stuff for AEW. So crazy how perspective changes, and yet a lot of people stay the same. You figure Triple H is on top of the world there as world champion in the Reign of Terror, and now he's literally running the show.
Adrian said there's a blast from the past. And you know what? We'll mention Noah Donish. He was a part of the channel. He helped us out. He brought us some entertaining moments. But one of my favorite moments of that era, you guys were doing the audio shows. You interviewed people from TNA. One of the people interviewed was Dusty Rhodes. And we mentioned him a few moments ago.
Yes.
You had to leave the interview. You had to do something. Explain what you were leaving for and what Dusty said to you.
So at the time, I had finished high school the year before. I was going for a teaching credential, which looking back, God, wow, would have that been a bad choice in careers for me, dealing with 6 rounds of 15-year-olds oh my God, nope. And in the process of going through that credential, I was going through a program where I was tutoring kids at the elementary school down the hill from me, and yeah, when I'm gonna tell that story after I'm done telling this story, because when you hear the audio setup we had at Aaron's place, it's so bonkers now to think about it. Anyway, I had to go to my tutoring gig, and we tried different times with Dusty. It just didn't work. So we had to do the interview, and we did, and I had to leave. I had to go fulfill my obligation as a tutor. So when I got off the air, recording, or not off the air, we were recording back then. We weren't live streaming yet. When I got off the recording, Mike chose to continue disparaging me, shall we say, as happened quite a bit back then. And Dusty said one line, he just rather go play with little kids and talk to the American Dream or something to that effect. That pretty much made Mike's NoDQ career for the next 4 years. I mean, that's really what it came down to, because every time I got out of line, I was snapped back into place by the fact that I bailed on the American Dream.
It is what it is, man. You had your priorities, and it's totally understandable.
And looking back now, the fact that I'm, a parent and, just, better than anybody working with me all these years, you got to drop stuff at the moment. If the kid needs something, you're gone. That's it. That's the priority. But yeah, Tito mentioned the audio. I kid you not. Oh, how far are we into the show? 10 minutes. I shit you not, people. We did at least the first couple interviews. So we're talking Dan Severn, Mike Tenay, Chaos from XPW, and the man now known as Ryan Katz, who works for WWE as a producer, but he was GQ Money back then, and maybe even the Shane Douglas interview, because that was early on too. We literally had a cordless phone in Aaron's. It was either your place or Mike. I forget which one. You guys were neighbors or close to neighbors. We literally taped the microphone to Aaron's computer to the talking part of the receiver on the cordless phone, so we could feed the audio into the computer talking to these people. That is a shoot. I swear to God, that's how we did it back in 2002. That's how technology had not evolved 20 years ago. We were taping equipment to each other just to get shit to work.
Yeah, and back then we saved the files to Real Media format or Windows Media Audio, WMA.
To this day, the first 3 or 4 episodes, we do not have converted to Windows Media, because when you gave me that disc, they were still in real mode. I was like, oh my God. I mean, you can convert them now to drop of a hat. Not a big deal. But back then, it was a major undertaking to coordinate the interviews, to get these people on the phone, to get the phone set up, to get the recordings done, to edit the recordings, and to get them up at the time Aaron designated. It was as challenging as it is to coordinate people now. It was much more coordinations to, well, there you go. It was much more of a challenge to coordinate technology than it was people back then. Now it's reverse.
Right. And in 2004, we started doing videos. We transitioned to videos, and they would be uploaded to NoDQ server. This was pre-YouTube. And then in 2006, we started uploading videos to YouTube. 2007, you started Talk Wrestling, which became a regular. And then in 2011, I started going on camera doing videos. And then 2016, 2017, we started live streaming. And that's where we've been since. Here we are today for the greatest wrestling Q&A ever. 20 plus years of experience covering wrestling. We'll see if we know what we're talking about here. I mean, we're just a couple of guys that think we know everything. We'll see how this goes. We'll see if we get stumped out a little bit with some of these questions. Time will tell on that. Jeff, are you ready?
I am ready. We do have a couple questions on my end once we get through the super chats, because they are the priority, as you said. So,
Kayfabe Candy Ass.
Yeah.
Kayfabe Candy Ass. That's my dad's series, which was interesting. People were not sure what to make of it, but look it up on YouTube. Puka Mania. That's my dad doing videos around 2006.
Yeah, God bless Zoog. Zoogs was always a adventure to watch, whether he was eating Cowboy Bob's hat or cutting promos on your own channel. Just great stuff. Miss him dearly to this day.
Absolutely. And we'll start. Our first super chat we'll read off is from Walter Cruz, because he's been a big contributor over the past couple of years, not just with the super chats, but appearing on camera.
Yes, sir.
He sent in $10. Woo! Thank you very much, Walter. He says, say yes to NoDQ, like, share, hashtag stick to my shtick. By the way, that is now a shirt over at NoDQ.com/merch. You can buy yourself a Walter Cruz shirt now, plus a NoDQ red and black t-shirt. I'll put that up here in a few moments. But Jeff,
big time, Walter, you got your own shirt now, buddy.
He says, here's to 24 more years. Here's the question. In a world where AEW and WWE would work together, what would be your dream matches? So if there was a forbidden door, what would you like to see? Jeff, you got an idea?
God, off the top of my head, I mean, you figure right now the top of the food chains would be a great match to see all these years later, post them meet a team, Moxley versus Reigns. I mean, that's that right there. You figure Jon Moxley now is a much different person than when he was portraying Dean Ambrose in WWE. His life's cleaned up. He's a father now. Roman's been through the reoccurrence, his leukemia coming out of remission, going back into remission, and then becoming what we all wanted them to become, which is the guy. Roman versus Omega is another. Okay, Omega only if the Elite can behave themselves. Same with Punk if he comes back. But yeah, off the top of my head, I mean, you automatically put the world champions with each other, and both those guys are so much different than they were when they parted company. Rollins and Omega would be solid. I don't know if we ever got that in PWG or any of the indies. If it is, I don't know about it. So that'd be awesome to see those two guys go as well. I pay money for Rollins and Omega.
Yeah, I would too. So for me, it's the obvious ones: Roman Reigns versus Kenny Omega, and I'd like to see the Young Bucks versus the Usos. Which team really is the greatest of all time? To me, that would be an awesome match.
Especially with how the Usos have upped their game since becoming part of officially part of Roman's stable on screen, more than just, oh yeah, we're cousins, whatever. But they've had a career year, the pair of them. Yes, they've had the legal issues, but the Usos are on a tear right now. Friday's going to be interesting. I'm curious if we're going to have them in that reign prior to them surpassing the New Day. We'll see what happens.
Yep. And you got to have MJF in there. Who would MJF's WWE opponent be if you could pick anybody?
Anybody but The Miz, because that comparison's too obvious. Right. You know what? Put him in there in Edge just because Edge is the one that said it.
Ooh, that would be interesting. The promo battles between those guys. You need a really good talker with MJF, somebody who could spar with him.
Edge is definitely in that category even now. So I would pay to see that just because Edge would cut the young pup down so much. You know, I thought about that too. If John were to come back for that, absolutely. Just because then maybe we could see John truly bring that doctor out of himself and just cut MJF down like a freaking knife through butter. Just try to silence MJF, possibly fail, more than likely fail because it's Max. But that promo battles for sure, which those two would be great between John and MJF. That'd be awesome.
I agree 100%. All right. We'll move to the next question, which is from Psycho Jet Black. A little bit of a comedic question here. Is Austin Theory still more over than EC3 after losing Money in the Bank on Raw?
No, because he cashed in on the damn U.S. championship and lost.
Now,
I seen this in the chat yesterday. I think it was with JJ. That just shows that they had no idea what the hell to do with Austin Theory in a post-Vince world. That's really what that came down to. They were so like, okay, now what do we do? And it was so dumb.
Well, Mr. Tito sent in this $2 super chat. Thank you, Tito. And people know the story. Like back in the day, 98, I think his column was the first wrestling website I ever checked out on Lords of Pain back in the day. I know Mr. Tito going way back.
Which is why, you know, people got up my ass so bad for cutting him down the other day. And you know what? I absolutely admit that I was wrong on that because Lords of Pain was definitely a go-to in the early days of WWW, in the early days of internet wrestling coverage, period. So much respect to Tito on that. I don't know where their logic is, Aaron, with this, with Theory. I mean, it really seems like he's just kind of lost in the sauce, as Sean Ricker would say, because what do they do with him now? He was completely the Vince pet project, both on and off screen, and now Vince is gone, except for being a stockholder. I mean, that's obvious. He's not, Triple H isn't feeling it, but what do you do with this kid? He has lost consistently since he became the Money in the Bank holder, and now he's he's a man without a ship because he has no contract. He has nothing to offer other than being an arrogant, cocky shit that you want to just smack upside the head now.
I think the logic is that in storyline, at least, he could not beat Roman Reigns. So he's like, well, I better go for the U.S. title. But he already had the U.S. title. So it really made no sense.
Well, I don't know if we brought this up on the sports part. It was brought up at some point during the course of the last 24 hours. He had the opportunity. And David Benz even said, you know, send Theory back to NXT. Why not just go ahead and do that? Why not just go ahead and, you know, have him cash in on NXT in the first place? They teased it like crazy. So why not just pull that trigger?
It really doesn't make sense. There's a saying, go big or go home.
Yeah, there is. I mean, even the tag titles with a partner would have been more logical because it's still a world title.
I agree, man. All right.
Dana Brooke. It's a world championship. It goes over the brand. Even that would have had the damn title last night. But again, there's so many more logical choices. It just seems like they went, okay, screw it. Just get it off him. Figure it out.
Psycho Jet White sent in a $2 super chat.
Yes.
And this is just a comment. He says, we are back in full force, baby. EC3 is greater than Mo Camera. Where's Mo Camera, by the way?
Yeah, where is Mo Camera? I feel like I had to work with him when it was last week, 2 weeks ago. It was a wonderful experience. So why not?
All right. Back to Psycho Jet Black, who sent in $5. Thank you for that. Says, do you think Triple H will give Braun Breaker the Roman Reigns push, or will he take it slow with him by winning mid-card titles and losing once in a while?
They got to take it slow. They can't just hot shot it with him. And I say that because it looked like they were going to, and then they pulled back. So, and the people seem to be responding better to him now than they were. Oh God, it's just another Steiner. Blah, 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 blah. But now they actually, at least the NXT audience seems to be reacting better to him than they were. The general audience, again, Aaron, you're the general audience. You don't watch NXT. I haven't watched it a whole lot since I've been so busy on Tuesday nights between doing my show and trying to get notes together and produce Mikey's show. But what I see of Braun Breaker, I like a lot more than I did in, even a year ago. So slow and steady wins the race. Torch in the hair. Don't pull a Roman Reigns and shove him down our throats, because otherwise you'll get the same backlash you did with Roman. And it took Roman, 5 years to get out of that stagnant, out of that hole. So
my take on it is that I would try to take it slow, but at the same time, if there's momentum, I think you have to strike while the iron is hot, as they say. And it just depends. But you definitely do not want people to start resenting the guy. He really has to come off as a guy who's earned that top spot and not somebody who was handed it.
Yeah, it's one of those. We'll see what happens when he debuts. Right? If he debuts and he has a big moment, even if it is on a draft night, if he has a moment that seems like they should strike, then they should. If it's just another call up, another moment, then let it be.
Let it be. Let it be.
Right. Hey, those guys are geniuses for all time, and they said it best in all sorts of their songs.
Okay, we'll move on here. Back to Austin Theory. The This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, can you book Theory as a face now? Money in the Bank for men is dead. Jeff, I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
I think you can. He's going to need some rehabbing as far as his credibility goes, but maybe he comes out there. He's humble. He says, it's been a rough year. It should have been the best year of my career. It wasn't. Now I'm going to start from scratch, and I'm going to prove to everybody that I belong here on Monday Night Raw in WWE. And he starts winning matches. He starts at the bottom and slowly works his way back up. Absolutely, I think they could do it. What do you think?
I think the fact that Johnny Gargano is on Raw and Candice is on Raw and Dexter is on Raw, even though that the story's going seemingly again. And Indy is still in the system. They could have the way be put back together as baby faces on the Raw roster and really help bolster Theory, because I don't know about a year or two, Doc, but he definitely needs as they say, another channel is a fresh paint of coat. Because like you said, this year has been awful. This kid came up with so much potential, and he was shot out of the sky like freaking Jack Skellington style on Christmas Eve, just completely barraged out of the sky in a relatively short amount of time. Figure he won Money in the Bank in July, and it's now November 8th. So it's been only a few months, and he's just.
I do want to go to an email question just because it relates to Austin Theory. Steve-O asked about our thoughts and said, what should have been done in your opinions? Should they have waited longer for him to develop more, successfully cash in on the US or NXT title, or did he deserve what he got? Do you think he deserved to be pretty much buried like that?
No, I don't. There's a great point brought up. They had until what day was Money in the Bank this year? July something, like before SummerSlam, right? It was the first Saturday in July. They had until that point next year before they had to do really anything and really pull the proverbial trigger. So to hot shot it on a loss, and honestly, I will go ahead and have a hot take. I saw it mentioned in the comments earlier, and I'll agree with it. That was a worse cash-in than Corbin's.
Worst ever?
Awful. It was not, it made zero sense. It does not advance any storyline that we know of. Unless you involve him in the U.S. title thing with Lashley, which, okay, cool. But, Corbin's at least made sense because he was beefing with Cena. Cena distracted him. The thread continued with him and Cena at SummerSlam, excuse me. And Jinder Mahal still being the damn champion. This makes no sense. They should have waited. They should have also maybe not put the Vince stink on him. Especially, and I say that kind of haha, but they had to know internally that this shit was coming up. They had to know the investigation was going to be a thing. They had to know the allegations were there. Vince is many, many things, and we've all talked about that ad nauseum in 24 years, 20 on media format. But he's not stupid. They had to know something was going to happen. They should have not done anything that put his smear over any up-and-coming talent. That was the error that was made here.
Psycho Jet White sent in $5. Thank you for that. Says, Jeff, you already know that I am the undisputed multiverse super chat champion, baby. Aaron acknowledged me now. I acknowledge you. And should Theory have cashed in on Braun Breaker? I say no.
If they're going to have him cash in now, then yes, it should have been on Braun Breaker. That way it completely throws away for NXT got cashed in on. This was possibly the only thing they could have done worse than have him cash in on the U.S. Championship was, I joked earlier, but have him cash in on Dana. Like, that was the only worst thing they could have done.
Right. Well, like I said earlier, go big or go home. Should have been Roman Reigns. Even if he lost, he gave it the college try.
Yep. Yeah. And that was teased so passionately in the lead up to and even during the SummerSlam match with Brock. Now, should he have cashed in and lost that? Because no, that ended the way it needed to end because Brock needed to take Roman needed to take Brock down once and for all. That ended the way it needed to end there. They needed the definitive end of that. Ratnick, I agree with that. I agree with the other comment about Money in the Bank for men is dead. I think Money in the Bank, period, is dead at this point. You figure the women have cashed in on the same night how many years in a row now? Or at least the next night? It's one of those, Money in the Bank was all about hanging on to an opportunity. You never knew when they were going to strike. You can almost time your watch to when the women are going to cash in now. It's just stupid. And the men, figure we had Theory this year. You had what was last year the Otis Miz Lashley bullshit, or was that the year before that?
I don't even know, man. I forget.
So I remember when you guys went to WrestleMania. You and Mike went to WrestleMania and saw that first Money in the Bank match, and Edge just robbed, he who shall not be named, of the briefcase and went on to make Money in the Bank what it was. I remember us all gathering for the XMV finale to watch RVD cash in his Money in the Bank contract and become the WWE champion. I couldn't even tell you for sure what year the Miz Otis thing was. That's how far Money in the Bank has fallen. And everybody's acknowledging Cheeto, which is awesome. I love that. Appreciate that, Josh.
All right, let's get to some more super chats here. Sean Garner sent in $5. Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated. Says, who do you guys think beats Roman Reigns for the title? That is a loaded question, Jeff. That is something we've been talking about. And I mentioned the name Braun Breaker, although I did a poll on NoDQ's Twitter, and Braun Breaker was in last place of the four options. First place was Cody Rhodes. He seems to be the odds-on favorite, and I think Cody's the guy. Like, I don't know what they're going to do for WrestleMania, but I had this idea in my mind. Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble after coming back from his injury, and they can do two matches. Night one is Roman Reigns defending his title against Cody Rhodes. Win, lose, or draw doesn't matter because night two in the main event, Roman Reigns versus The Rock, non-title, not about the title. It's about who is the head of the table, and Roman Reigns is the first person to headline 2 nights of WrestleMania. That's my idea. But who do you think should beat Roman?
What were the other choices? It was Cody and
Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and anybody you can think of, really.
I mean, Cody is the obvious choice, and we talked about it. I don't remember if you were on the Hell in a Cell stream with us, so forgive me if you were. As far as the post show, Cody's injury is recoverable by the Royal Rumble. He got hurt way earlier in the year than John did when he came back at the Royal Rumble. So it's doable for him to be that guy and then get his shot at WrestleMania. So that's how I would do it as well. But God, I mean, some people are saying The Rock should do it, and the whole argument is, does the match need the title? I don't think it's about the match needing anything. It's about, do you put the championship on an even less available part-timer than Roman Reigns already has been claimed to be? No, you don't. So The Rock's not a choice for me. Braun just came back. Bray just came back. We still don't know where they're going with the Bray storyline also. That seems like it's going to play out here relatively soon as far as who Uncle Howdy's going to be and, where that's going to go. And Braun, again, I think they waited too long to make Braun Strowman the champion when they did. And it only happened because Roman did not appear at Pandemic Mania. And I think that hurt Braun long term as far as him being champion, because his championship reign was a cluster. It really was. He faced Bray the entire rest of the year up until he dropped it to Bray, or the Fiend rather, at SummerSlam, and then Roman beat the pair of them, and that was it.
Jeff, Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and wants to know, why don't you like Mr. Kennedy?
I like Ken Anderson just fine. I've never, if I have, I don't remember. I like Kennedy just fine. I just don't. Oh, you know what? He's probably saying that because I didn't mention him in the Money in the Bank options, because I was Edge won and then RVD won. Kennedy did win, but okay, I don't like him because he ended up getting himself in trouble. I had to drop the briefcase. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, Shanti,
which was a great story. So there you go.
Shanti in Hawaii sent in $5. Thank you, Shanti. Wish I was in Hawaii. It's a beautiful place.
Right.
He says, aloha, NoDQ. With the Bray Wyatt characters coming to life, who plays the evil Vince McMahon doll? Vince McMahon himself, and also your favorite 24/7 moment.
The Vince McMahon doll should be played by Kevin Nash.
Sure, why not? Just like he did that parody on Monday Nitro back in the day.
I'm so glad you remember that, because I didn't have to try to bring it up in long form. That would have been a long discussion. Yeah, that was an interesting promo by Kevin Nash on Nitro in '99, which was few and far between. 24/7 champion. I mean, how do you not say truth, right? That's our buddy anyway, from way back, from the XMB days, from the Extreme Mayhem days, even was our buddy. So yeah, truth.
All right, there you go. Fair enough. And best wishes to R-Truth, who had surgery, torn quad.
It's one of those, Ron's as old as us and then some. So recovery from surgery is no joke now at his age. So good on him. Hopefully he gets better soon.
All right. Our good friend Big Baller G is here. Yeah. He sent in $5. Now, he had emailed us about who do we think will beat Roman Reigns. So he's like, well, there goes my question that I emailed you. But also he said, do you think Roman Reigns will go on to 3 years as champion? So just a yes or no, Jeff. I say no.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's possible he could go to SummerSlam, but I'm going to say he loses before the 3 years.
Mania likely SummerSlam. And even if it does go to SummerSlam, it won't be 3 years because this was Payback. So.
And this is a loaded question. So your favorite match of this year and worst match of the year. Favorite match, I think I might go with Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell. That's at the top of my list. That's the first one that came to mind. But there have been so many great matches this year. I would need to think about it a little bit. That one, however, just immediately stands out because of Cody's injury.
That for me as well, but on a non-Meltzer scale, Austin and Owens, just because Austin came back. And I was one of your posts, I think, Isn't it strange? We're going to hit the end of the year-end awards here very soon on NoDQ.com, by the way, folks. Is it crazy that Austin's comeback at WrestleMania won't be in the top 5 stories of this year?
How crazy is that? Did anybody even think like Steve Austin coming back would imagine a year ago, somebody told you Steve Austin was going to come back in 2022 and wrestle, and it wouldn't even crack the top 5 biggest stories of the year.
Yeah, that is absurd that's a thing. Walter Sheamus was very good. And
that's up there too.
Yeah. The one at the Clash was so good. All their matches have been really good. Even the ones on SmackDown have been really good. But yeah, the top for me, favorite wise, is Stone Cold, because, not only did it happen, but it happened at a time where my channel was covering it play by play. And the reaction from Noah Foster and JJ getting to call Stone Cold's comeback match on the channel made my freaking day. It was such a touching moment. So that was really cool for me on a personal level.
All right, we'll move on here. And Psycho Jet White sent in a $5 super chat. Speaking of Cody, says Cody Rhodes beats Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the US Championship. Then Cody gets screwed out of it before SummerSlam. Then you have Cody best Roman Reigns after 1,000 days.
Book it. I'm here for it. Book it. Why not? Cody owes Seth one anyway, so why not? Book it.
See, I think the next time Cody Rhodes faces Seth Rollins, it should be for the WWE Championship, but that's just my opinion on that. Plus, I feel like Seth Rollins is going in a babyface direction.
Well, perhaps, but it doesn't mean that Cody can't come back with a chip on his shoulder and possibly play a tweener.
Yeah, I mean, we could see something along those lines. Cleaver Colin Andrews sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Colin. Says, happy birthday, NoDQ. Thank you. And he says, where's my shirt? I'm going to get on that. We're going to get a Cleaver shirt up on the NoDQ merch page, nodq.com/merch. I will get a Cleaver shirt up. There is a Walter Cruz shirt and the pack, the NoDQ red and black t-shirt is now available. And if you use the code EARLYBIRD, you get 20% off your order. So make sure you head over there, nodq.com/merch. I'm going to get a Colin shirt up soon and maybe even a few others.
Yeah, we're definitely in full merch mode now with the dreaded day after Thanksgiving approaching. I get a huge discount at work. I'm so happy.
There you go. All right. We'll get back to these super chats here.
Yeah.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a non-question, just said Rainbow Coalition is going strong between him and Psycho Jet White.
Absolutely. Why not? Let's get Psycho Jet Gray in here just to balance it out.
Exactly. City by the Bay sent in $2. Says Roman Reigns / Austin Rumble, Texas. Rock turns on Roman.
That, okay. That's an interesting. I don't think it should be for the title because I don't want Austin to be WWE champion. I think that's wow. Listen to me, WWE champion. Wow, I reverted there. Sorry, Vince and Triple H. I mean, do we need Austin? I mean, that was such a perfect moment. And then the next night was what it was with the Vince Stunner that really didn't go very well. But I don't need to see Austin back in the ring. I'm good. I'm good.
I would not be shocked if he comes back for one more match. And Roman Reigns versus Steve Austin, that would be a hell of a match to add to Roman Reigns' list of people that he's faced as champion.
This is very true. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it. I just don't think it's personally, it's not a good idea for my fandom. Appreciate you, Mikey T. Thank you for coming in, dude. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday after Hard Times. There's a question, a couple questions over here on my side, Aaron. I'll go ahead and read them. I don't want to put them on the screen because it's all discombobulated. But with the discontinuation of the 24/7 championship, what are your thoughts on some of the positive moments that it brought? Example, Fabulous Truth, Drake Maverick wanting to consummate his marriage. Same thing with Tozawa, etc.
Yeah, there was somebody else had asked us about favorite 24/7 title moments. I guess the segment with Drake Maverick in the hotel room, like that to me was the highlight. Pretty much anything pre-pandemic was entertaining, and then it ran its course. And after that, it was just a chore to watch.
Yeah, I think the pandemic definitely hurt that title, because you figure the whole point of that, and prior to it, the Hardcore Championship, was being able to go through the crowd and through the buildings and everything, and you just can't do that when you're in a bubble. So, kind of a hard decision to have to make to keep going with that.
All right. Sun Goshuaku. I can never pronounce it correctly, but Sun. He says, what are your guys' dream WWE mixed tag team matches of any era? Well, okay. So Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, I mean, they're a hell of a team right there. So I have to figure out who to put them up against.
Savage and Sherry.
Savage and Sherry. There you go. At first I was thinking Randy Savage and Elizabeth, but Elizabeth really wasn't a wrestler, but Sherry works.
By Becky Lynch. That's a bad idea. No, got to protect Elizabeth. Yes, Sherry's all the way.
Yep, I like it, Jeff. Let's do that. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch versus Randy Savage and Sensational Sherry.
The King and the Queen versus the Man and the Architect. There you go.
And Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Dwayne. Much appreciated. Says, FTR versus Briscoe's best match of the year, in my opinion. I did not see it, so I cannot verify that, but I heard it was pretty amazing.
We got to call it. It was unbelievable. That whole show, that whole weekend was so good. You figure you had Supercard and you had WrestleMania. Just a good weekend. And then I'm sorry, but I think FTR and Briscoe's was the summer show. Either way, great match. Ring of Honor, when they go on pay-per-views, actually been doing pretty well for themselves when they actually get to do that. I think we were going that way with Edge and Beth against Seth and Becky before something happened. I forget what it was now. That's a really good obvious one for current time. But we're trying to think all time. You know, Savage and Sherry had one mixed tag match, and it was against Dusty and Sapphire.
Yeah, getting Edge and Lita in there against a current team might be an interesting one. But Edge and Beth Phoenix obviously together now, so.
Here you go. Just a fun one. Dusty and Sapphire versus Goldust and Luna. Why not?
That would be interesting.
In 1998, when it counts, because Artist Formulas Goldust was the riskiest one of all.
All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Thank you. Says, who on the main roster should be sent back to NXT? Maybe Austin Theory?
Say Theory, the entire 24/7 division at this point. I'm not saying that to be an asshole. It's just, what are they going to do with those people now?
Yeah.
You know, we saw, they showed Drew Gulak. I forget. Oh, you know what? I saw Drew Gulak in a promo talking about the WWE Network's show, talking about the WWE Champions List. That's the only time I've seen Drew Gulak on TV in like 3 months. So send his ass down.
Well, the thing is, it's tough to say. Like, I would consider people that came to Raw or SmackDown and just were not ready for the big time yet would be sent back down. Gulak's been around forever. Like, he's not going to get any better in NXT. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Maybe Omos, but it would just be awkward with him in NXT, I think.
I think Omos just needs to be given the time and not have so many expectations on him, you know, because he's just another dude. I liked the idea of him coming up from the underground and kind of building his way up. But again, the underground was another idea that just fell flat once they completely did away with it. And Shane McMahon was left with nothing to freaking do except get himself put on timeout. It's just been a disastrous year for anybody last name McMahon, unfortunately, except for Stephanie, apparently.
All right, we'll move to the next super chat from Psycho Jet Black. Thank you. Says,
tonight.
Rumors are that Ring of Honor is getting a show on a streaming service. How come AEW has yet to have a streaming service where we could see all the episodes and pay-per-views? Well, Jeff, I think they're working on it. It's something that is not going to happen overnight, and they're probably looking for the best deal possible. And I would not be shocked if Tony Khan is shopping around and seeing what his options are. But maybe 2024, if they get a renewal with Warner Media, maybe that'll be part of the deal.
And that's the other thing, you know, they're talking about streaming service. This Warner Media Discovery thing has really got everybody on edge right now because, you know, there's a lot of what's going to happen next questions with that merger. And now there's talk of Comcast buying the whole thing up, which SEC, hello, I want to look at that. Just throwing that out there, guys. I don't work for the government, but just one might take a look at that one. Because figure if Comcast buys that, then WWE and AEW, Ring of Honor, everybody else are on the same basic streaming service. A little odd.
Yeah, but I hope they're able to get a deal with somebody, and also they're still relatively young as a company, and it takes time to build up a library. You want to have like a good archive.
Seriously, how long ago was WWF talking about having their own pay-per-view channel? Like when we started watching, maybe not, but when we started covering this stuff, absolutely. And that was 20 years ago. The network's only 8 years old. So, let's pump the brakes just a smidge, kids. It'll be okay. Ring of Honor has the Honor Club. They could always, grandfather that in. Maybe, there is that. Going to a question over here from my end, because the NoDQ Hall of Fame voting is up right now, and the non-wrestler category came up earlier in the week, I believe it was, or even over the weekend. Favorite theme song maker? I'll ask you, Aaron, since you've been watching longer than I have. Jimmy Hart, Jim Johnston, Dale Oliver. Please don't cut Dale down too bad. Or CFOs.
I mean, Jim Johnston, easily.
Yeah. It's Jimmy. Jimmy was a great contributor on like the wrestling album, Pile Driver, or whatever. But Jim Johnston was the theme song soundtrack of our child wrestling fandom, without a doubt.
I agree 100%. But Jimmy Hart had some bangers like the fabulous Rougeau Brothers, as Kayfabe Candy S pointed out.
And American Males, which both songs we've lampooned ad nauseum on this channel over the last 20 years. So,
Absolutely.
There's that.
All right. Our good friend Calvin Bowman, who's been a longtime supporter of the channel, he said that Kevin Patrick is a terrible commentator, and he wants to know, what do we think about JBL coming back and replacing Kevin Patrick? Jeff, I think the issue is that JBL is a color commentator, not a play-by-play guy, right?
Absolutely. John was a great analyst to Michael Cole. I still say they're the best SmackDown team post brand extension. I will stand by that statement until somebody else, proves me wrong and makes me change my mind as far as SmackDown goes. I think they're the best team. But yeah, play-by-play guys, it's funny. I was hired to do play-by-play based on my working and based on my co-hosting XMV and hosting Talk Wrestling, and you're a natural. Pardon the pun, phrase here. I sucked a dick. I was terrible as play-by-play. I was awful. Our old NoDQ co-host Josh was a better commentator on that night than I was. It was terrible. It was just the shits. So play-by-play is not a easy business. And poor Kevin Patrick, he's an uphill battle. He's got the Irish accent, which is just so easily targeted by the heels, as JBL proved last night on Raw. And, Gravy's right there just waiting to, Byron Saxon, the poor guy. How do you follow Jim Ross, Michael Cole, Mauro Ranallo even? You can't. Those guys are, and going back to our early fandom, Tony Schiavone and, the guys like that. Cole Taz was a good team. I just think Cole JBL was better. I will never take away from Taz's ability as ECW champion, which we talked about on the Dad's episode that did not go up yesterday because of technical issues, or Taz's color commentary. I just think his Twitter takes her shit personally, which is why he blocked me, and I earned it. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that block. Kevin just has a poor uphill battle, trying to follow fan expectations as a play-by-play man. So just give him time.
Yeah, I think that he probably is not the right guy for the spot, but JBL is not the guy to be replacing him. JBL should not even be on TV, quite frankly, in my opinion.
I wouldn't mind if John Layfield was a color commentator again. JBL overdoing the JBL character? Yeah, no. Go away.
All right. We got a little bit more black and white here. Psycho Jet White sent in a $2 super chat, says, my brother doesn't want me to super chat anymore.
Well, White, you can tell Black, like Elias told Ezekiel, it'll be okay. You can recover and do it anyway.
And his brother did, in fact, super chat again with $20. So thank you, Psycho Jet Black. You're the good brother now.
Man, Psycho Jet Black is going to be buying Aaron and I Thanksgiving dinner at this rate.
All right, so you're dealing with the X Factor. I'm not going to sing it. I got everything I ever wanted,
and I'll never give that back. Yo,
I know you hate X Factor, but you ain't got to look at me like that. I said you ain't got to look at me like that.
So there you go. $20 to get you to get Aaron and I to rap the freaking poor man's Kid Rock. There you go. Good job, guys.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now we get back to Walter Cruz. This may be the worst wrestling Q&A ever if we keep getting those kind of super chats.
That's okay. You know what? The freaking greatest wrestling match is up to the hype either. So damn it, we're going to do our best to equal that. Why not? I'm
just a regular Freddie Mercury over here.
Is this real life, Aaron, or is this a fantasy?
Caught in a landslide.
No escape from reality.
All right, we're going to move on here. Otherwise, we'll end up reciting the whole song.
That's right.
Open your eyes.
Look up to the skies and see.
I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy because I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low.
Any way the wind blows, nothing
doesn't really matter
to me. To me.
Okay. Billy L sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Billy L. Says, worst WCW gimmicks. Oh boy. Okay, this is going to go like 10 minutes, right? Matches, characters, etc. Now, there was a question about Halloween Havoc, which we'll get to at some point here. Yeah. But remember 1991 when Abdullah the Butcher was electrocuted? Do you remember the Chamber of Horrors?
I have the unfortunate responsibility to my damn self to put myself under the bus here. I subscribe to all the network, the shows that those guys appear on, Tony, Giovanni, and all them. They talk about this every October. God, what a piece of shit show that was. And the Chamber of Horrors being the biggest turd of them all. Oh, so bad.
I mean, I could name a bunch from Halloween Havoc, period. What about Paul White, the Big Show, the Giant being pushed or knocked off the roof of Cobo Hall?
Some bitch literally dies, and he still wins the world title thanks to the Yeti. Bum screwing Hogan. Lord, oh my God, what a horrible set of circumstances.
Just the Dungeon of Doom in general.
Yeah, probably the worst gimmick for WCW, though, of all by far, was Vince McMahon becoming the owner. Terrible.
That was probably the worst of the worst.
Probably the worst of the worst. And anything Hogan in black and white prior to 96.
Except I did like him firing Jeff Jarrett and Lex Luger.
Looking back on everything, as cool as I've become with both those guys, I'm like, yeah, but 20 years ago it was funnier than shit. So, that whole 95 in general. Yeah, remember, Bischoff, when he launched Nitro, was talking about, we were cartoony as well. It's like, man, there was nothing more cartoony in wrestling than the damn Dungeon of Doom and Hulk Hogan putting on black and white because, the good guy had been drained out of him by the evil Dungeon. Yeah, what's so stupid about that, kayfabe? The river's not even next to Cobo Hall.
And I'm in Detroit now, and I can attest to that.
Yeah, if you're on top of Cobo Hall, there's no water. It's just not there.
What? And he came to the ring without a scratch. Like, that was truly a miracle.
It was supernatural. It was almost like his father was watching over him that night and guided him to the ground safely and soundly. And if you know what I'm talking about, you're an old school fan, and we love you for that.
All right, next super chat from Curtis Butler. Just a comment, says, celebrate the legacy, fellas.
Yeah, again, dude, 20 years of he and I, 24 for him doing the website. Figure, we were 15 years old when this shit started. It's great. And we were 19 when the media stuff started.
Yeah, not even 20.
Not even 20 yet. And here we are hitting almost 40.
Yep.
Sooner than me, bro.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to the email questions. Walter sent in this question about the Royal Rumble. So if you guys had it your way and everyone was injury free, who would you have be surprise entrants and who would you have win the Rumble? Jeff, I'll start. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. And I hope that happens. He shows up, wins it. Randy Orton, bring him back for the Royal Rumble. Maybe he's the runner-up, him and Cody at the very end. That would be an awesome final, too. They both show up as surprises, and you just don't know who's going to win because Randy Orton was rumored to be an opponent for Roman Reigns. What do you think?
I like that. And just for shits and giggles, throw DiBiase Jr. in there just because they're both there. You know, I mean, I know today's not wrestling anymore, but just have him show up and just, you know, do a quick bump over afterwards. But just have him be there toward the end as part of the Legacy reunion, and then just have, you know, get thrown over. I would personally really like to see, because it's been in the news, and we did talk about it in the group chat. Let's see Nick Aldis show up at the Rumble and Mickie James both.
Yeah, I mean, Virtue wanted to know your thoughts on this whole falling out between Nick Aldis and Billy Corgan. Your take on that, because you're an NWA guy and Nick Aldis is on his way out. What do you think?
It's unfortunate. They have a really big show on Saturday that we're covering on the channel down in New Orleans, Hard Times 3. And, you know, we talked about it in the chat earlier, the group of us. It's one of those, you know, you brought up a great point. A lot of people got poached in the pandemic because, you know, NWA was kind of pigeonholed where they were, and AEW had the chance to, you know, take Thunder Rosa, Ricky Styles. God, sorry there, Daryl. Ricky Starks, who was in line to be interviewed on Talk Wrestling as an NWA star, and AEW went, not so much. For the record, that did happen. AEW told me no. NWA was all for it. They were all about that. So it was left up, you know, Aldis was the champion. He was the guy that was championing the NWA cause. And, you know, if you believe, you know, either any story, you know, Billy didn't like the way, you know, Mickie was working out. Mickie didn't like the way that she was treated. Nick defended his wife, and it just became a schmoz. It became a big cluster. Unfortunately, and I mentioned this in the group chat, and again, that's Billy talking on Bust Open Radio. That's Billy talking to Bully and, you know, LeGrand and all those guys. So more than a grain of salt, like a whole shaker of salt when it comes to shit like that, for the record. At the end of the day, it is a business. Virtue was 100% right in the group chat. It's a business. And unfortunately, people take stuff that is related or should be related only on a business front too personally to remain objective. Whatever happened here, the bottom line is the guy that has been the face of the modern NWA is no longer part of the company. And in the process, they're losing a great, still great in the ring female talent, a great coach of the female talent as well as Nick on the male side of things. And now you have the possibility of them very likely going to WWE. Nick has always held out going to WWE because he was an NWA guy through and through, and now he doesn't have to be anymore. So if the interest is there, even as a part-timer, you know, doing the Regal thing in AEW like a coach, he will take that money from Triple H and run, or Stephanie, and run with it. Are you kidding me?
I'll just say this, and then we'll move on to the next super chat and then question.
Okay.
I think that it doesn't really matter who's at fault at this point. The bottom line is NWA had a brief moment where I felt like they could have rebounded and made a real impression on the industry. NWA Power in 2019 on YouTube was a fantastic 1 hour show. I very much enjoyed it, but then the pandemic hit and a lot of the top NWA stars, Ricky Starks, Thunder Rosa, Eddie Kingston, they ended up going to AEW, and then Eli Drake went to WWE. And most of the top NWA guys were gone. And what do you have now? Like Tyrus in the NWA?
Yeah, I mean, Tyrus is, and again, people are going to hate on Brodus or whatever, but I really think he's come, you know, a long way from the dancing, you know, whatever the hell he was doing there. But yeah, the problem is it's on a small scale, and because they went behind the proverbial paywall, they took away people's better access to the NWA, and you know, Billy claims it's a 20-year plan. Well, here we are 5 years in, and we could be throwing salt over the grave here before too long, which is unfortunate. Billy got involved with ECW toward the end. He got involved with Impact notoriously. I think maybe the group chat was right. Maybe he should go, find a way to unload the brand and go back to music and only music, because it seems like decision making is not happening properly on either side of anything right now.
All right, we'll move on here.
Yes.
Dustin Herrick sent in $2, says, can you please interview MJF?
I would love to have Max on, talk wrestling or a joint stream with Aaron, something. That guy is a star. He's absolutely, please, if somebody has a connection to MJF, please send him our way, because I will gladly interview him. I'll gladly even get roasted by him, because Lord knows if you get roasted by MJF, you're in like Flynn.
Oh, you'll get roasted, Jeff.
Of course I will. Of course I will. You and I both know I will, and that's fine. Let's see. There's a question on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to read off this, and then we'll get to your next question you have. Adrian sent in a 24 euro super chat. He says, €1 for every year, lads. Here's to another 24 years. We appreciate that, Adrian, very much.
Thank you for the contributions this week between that and what you did over the weekend. So very much appreciated, sir. I know I've given a lot of the people in this chat room a lot of shit over the years. And I trying to mellow out as best I can, especially working where I work and doing what I do. So we appreciate you guys sticking with us for 20 years.
Yeah, you were called out by MJF on Twitter.
I was called out, and you know what? I think I earned it to an extent. But again, anybody who wants to send Max our way, I will gladly have him on camera with me, or even an audio form. We can do the old school tape the phone to the thing again. Why not?
There you go. Now, Axel sent in a $5 super chat, says, and thank you, Axel. Did y'all see that MJF has been casted in the new Von Erich movie?
Hey, you know what? Max is a fan first and foremost, like the rest of us. So he will, whoever he was cast as, he'll do the role justice. He really will. All right, let's see here. Let's go with this one. This is from Bill Patterson III. Like Vince was able to do, or what Vince was able to, do you think Triple H will be able to separate business and personal relationships for the betterment of the company?
100%. He's even said it himself that he puts business first, and if there's money to be made, he's willing to have a phone call with just about anybody.
I mean, by the same token, you figure his right hand man at creative is his best friend, because the guy's knowledgeable as hell. Shawn Michaels. He brought Road Dogg back, where people go back and forth on their opinion on Brian, but I think that Triple H is much more willing to talk to anybody that has wronged WWE or WWE has wronged, much more than Vince appeared to be. The great example of that is Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
If you'd have told me even in 2012 that Bruno would be in the Hall of Fame in New York, I'd have laughed in your face. I would have. You and I went over the years here, and Bruno was so against Vince and so against the way he took the direction of the company. And Triple H made it happen.
Yeah,
So.
Triple H has this ability. He is very much a people person. He seems to be able to have a good rapport with just about everybody. Like, you always hear people praising him. He seems very approachable, and he seems like he generally cares about the wrestlers and their well-being. And with Vince, like, a lot of people felt like he treated the wrestlers like circus animals.
And did you think either one of us would be sane or agreeing to that statement when we started NoDQ Media 20 years ago? I sure didn't.
Man, like, remember back in 2002 how much people hated Triple H? He was burying everybody, burying Booker T, burying RVD.
What was our first major thing we covered? That god-awful Katie Vick thing that Hunter was right up in. That was a bad visual. I apologize. That was a major part of that segment, that storyline. And we hated on it, deservedly so. Sorry, Vince. Yeah, people, we've called it the reign of terror.
Uh-oh. I hope we did not lose Jeff.
For so many years. Yeah, and bro, am I here? Am I here? Hello?
Yeah, you're back now, Jeff. I'll go ahead and read off a couple of comments here so we can see if you're your reception gets a little bit better. We were cutting out there for just a second. Okay. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho Jet Black. Says Impact buys NWA, reforming NWA TNA, going full circle.
There was talk about Billy buying the Impact brand just to do it but there was so much litigation. Are you kidding me? No way. No way. Woo, no.
Shout out to Kayfabe Candy Ass. And I thought I had another question for him here, but let's see if I can find it. Okay. Let's answer this from Kayfabe Candy Ass. I'm not sure if he's still on or not, but Kayfabe, we love you, man. He's been a longtime supporter. He says, do you think there's any chance for CM Punk to work for WWE part-time? Is he worth taking a chance on? Not just for the attitude reasons, but also age, recent injury history after big matches. Do you think we've seen the last of him in wrestling? Go ahead.
So there's a two-part answer. Is there a chance? Absolutely. Because we just talked about Hunter's. Hunter's willing to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
More so than Vince. Is he worth the risk? No. And that's not me being bitter toward Punk because Punk's whatever. He pointed out age, injury. Punk is very much damaged goods on many fronts at this point. Even if he were to go into a Lazarus pit and get his body 100% rejuvenated, he's still got the chip on his shoulder. He's still the same jerk that left WWE with a huge, justifiable chip on his shoulder 8 years ago. So if he can't get that part of his brain squared away, then no, he's not worth the risk at all.
I think that there's a decent chance he'll be back, but I would not be surprised if he's done with wrestling. I think the door will be open for a WWE return if it's something he wants to do, but at the same time, can he physically do it even on a part-time basis? I say there is money in CM Punk having one more match, whether it's at WrestleMania or maybe a couple of matches. I think he'll go into the WWE Hall of Fame, and I think that at the very least, they'll consider one more match with him just to have a proper send-off.
Yeah, I'd like to see it just for the sake of that moment. And again, Richard makes a great point. I'll never forget the promo and the way it got twisted around in the year. He said he came back to wrestling, but he came back to AEW because he was never going to be better mentally in the place where he got sick originally. And I said this after All Out this year. It was not WWE that made him ultimately sick. It was the business itself. So and again, that's done that to a lot of people. And a lot of people have taken a different approach and, done away with their lives altogether as a result of being in this business and the way it messed with their heads. So if Punk is going to choose to sit out and, be happy, happy husband with AJ, being a producer at WOW, then good for him. He needs to find something, whatever it is in his life, that doesn't make him go mentally irregular, because he does not need that in his life anymore. From what I understand, when he's not being CM Punk, Phil's a decent dude. It's just CM Punk is an asshole. So,
well, Psycho Jet Black sent in $2, says CM Punk cannot put personal issues above business.
It doesn't seem like he can. And I say that because All Out should have been a major pivot point. He regained the title. He had Max lined up as the challenger with the casino chip thing, and all he could focus on was Cabana, the Bucks, and Kenny. And that's and Page. Let's not forget that. I always forget Adam Page, which is so sad. I've talked about this before, but yeah, he couldn't fixate on the positive, which is sad.
And Dr. Dakota Scorpio said, thank you for the super chat, says Uncle Howdy or Bray Wyatt trying to get Jeff with the technical issues.
Right.
Yeah, but it looks like everything's good now, so we'll move on here. And The Game is on 100 sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, was Papa H right about CM Punk in his promo from 2011? What was that when he said that CM Punk was trashing the company, and Triple H was like, well, some people actually like WWE and some people actually enjoy it, and you're not the end all be all type of deal. Is that along the lines of what he said?
I'm pretty sure that was the one he's talking about. There were so many back and forth between those two in 2011, and that feud that went nowhere. I think it's possible, but Phil Brooks needs to get Phil Brooks head on straight first. That's just the long and short of it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think the jury is still out on that one, but I think it could go either way, honestly.
Yeah. So there's a fun question over here. I just want to throw it out there real quick from David Benz. Is this a fair trade? William Regal opening Survivor Series to yell "War Games" in exchange for Cena doing a rap battle with Max Caster. I'm all for that trade. Why not?
I mean, sure, but we all know that's highly unlikely in all likelihood.
Yes, there it is. There's the phrase. I was looking for that. There you go. Thank you.
I think WWE would want like MJF to appear instead of William Regal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but William Regal doing War Games just it seems wrong to do it without William.
Jeff, I'll answer this one. What happened between you guys and Noah Donish? We went in different directions, as human beings tend to do. Sometimes things happen in life and people just go in different directions. They drift apart, and that's what happened.
Yep, that's really it. So there are a couple of super chats over here. I don't know how to make them. Yeah, they won't appear on your screen on NoDQ, but they will appear on my screen. Bear with me here. Psychojet White sent a $2 super chat. Here you go, Jeff. Since Psychojet Black doesn't want me over on NoDQ, so there you go. He sent me $2 on my channel. Appreciate that. And yes, we are splitting the super chats tonight. That was addressed prior to this.
Yeah, let me throw this out there. If you guys are watching this on Jeff's channel, if you're going to super chat, do it here. Jeff's getting half the super chat money tonight, so it doesn't matter where you post it, but post it on here so we can get it up on the screen.
And yeah, it was on screen on my side, but yeah, super chats, please, on NoDQ. I'm getting half it anyway, and that way, because I'm basically sharing screen on my Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter because it was too hard to try to coordinate everything. So everything here, folks, I'll get the money, I promise.
All right, let's get to some more of these super chats. We do have a bunch of them. So
good, brother.
Billy L, we did not miss the super chat. I'm just getting to the queue here. We have a whole bunch of them. He says, when's the next post SummerSlam 2010 style stream? Was that at Bob's Big Boy?
Yes.
I mean, never say never.
On that level for hopefully ever again. So when we do the watch alongs on my channel, we have a post show every week, every show. So it's just, here's the deal, guys. In 2010, we all lived here. We all lived in California. SummerSlam was here in California. And Aaron was able, with significant help, to get my drunk ass to the car to drive from LA to Burbank. That's the only reason that show happened. And we'll talk about Noah. Noah carried my drunk ass through that whole show. Give fair credit where credit's due there. But as long, maybe.
Bray Wyatt again. Bray Wyatt is causing problems here. Uncle Howdy.
Aaron's not coming out for WrestleMania, like we were talking.
All right, Jeff, you've been attacked by Bray Wyatt again, so let's get back to the super chats here.
This freaking weird California rain is just throwing us off here. Okay, so as long as Aaron is not in California for a event, or the way it works now is, as long as I can't get time off of work at the Mouse to travel to Michigan or to meet up with the NoDQ crew at fill in the pay-per-view spot here, those kind of shows won't happen. Probably down the line, but not yet.
I can tell you guys this. One day, Jeff and I will do another live stream in person. Just a matter of time, but it will happen at some point. And JJ Williams brought up how that video was his NoDQ debut. So that was Talk Wrestling SummerSlam 2010. Look it up on YouTube. You can watch that video. JJ had a question for us, Jeff.
Actually, you can't anymore because you took it down.
Oh, well, then never mind.
Because somebody else was involved.
Okay, well then disregard that. But anyways, JJ had sent in an email question about Jey Uso and possible injury, but it appears he's okay. But I guess the general question is that what happens if Jay or Jimmy, let's say, gets injured? What do you do with the tag team titles? Do you utilize the Freebird rule with like Solo or Sami Zayn taking his place? More likely Sami, according to JJ. Do you have the Usos continue their reign and just not defend the titles, or do you do some kind of angle? What would you do if somebody got hurt and could not compete? What would you do?
Well, in the example of Jay, I would have had Sammy fill in and had them lose just to further the Jay-Sammy issue. That's what I would have done right off the bat. And I talked about this with him also. If Jay would have been hurt long term, you put the Freebird rule on Sammy, have Sammy and Jimmy lose the tag titles and just send Jay's mood into orbit, because that would be the ultimate. Really? So there'd be that. In general, it really depends on the story that's being told. If it's like it's happening Friday, you have to fill the gap. You have to make that happen. If it's something that's being built longer term and has the chance to, okay, he'll be ready by, War Games. He'll be ready by, December. He'll be ready by the Rumble. Drag it out. Put in the spot. Don't drop the titles. Figure out a way to make it work. In this case, it would have been, oh shit, we need to do something now. But more often than not, if they're not put into a long-term storyline, let it ride.
Here's what I would say. If it was a short-term injury, I would just not have them defend the titles for a while. Now, if he's going to be out for 6 months, then I would do something like Sami Zayn or Solo Sikoa taking the spot, and then that's when they lose, and then Jay can say, well, I was never in the match. This is not fair, but, they get screwed over out of the titles. I mean, really, that's the only thing you could do. I would not be a fan of, just doing a tournament or vacating the titles. I think they should defend it, representing the bloodline, kind of like what the NWO did. I think that was it Kevin Nash or Scott Hall who was out, but one of them was replaced by X-Pac, Six-Pac, and then they lost the titles.
That was when Kevin had the knee injury. He had the arthroscopic surgery on his knee.
Yeah, so they did that, and that's something you could do. So let's get to some more of these super chats. We do have a lot of them here.
Sounds good, brother.
Psycho Jet Black sent in $5, and this is just a general comment. He says, in hindsight, had Jeff not left No DQ. Okay, is this on YouTube, Jeff Meacham's resignation? Watch it, guys, if you haven't seen it. That was not – that – I know people say you guys are working us and stuff. That was totally legit. Like, Jeff really left the channel, and I had to step in and take over on camera. So, yeah, it did work out. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, that whole summer is, I mean, I'm going to be honest with everybody. That's why we don't bring Mike up very often, because of that summer. I mean, that's really the end of that. That's as far as I'm going to go with that, unless Aaron authorized me to do otherwise, because I've been asked more than once. But yeah, it was, that was, you got to remember, we were late 20s, both of us, full of P&V, both, if we're being honest with ourselves, both personal lives, not happy at the time. And just difference of opinion regarding a mutual friend. It just got out of hand, and it got sideways way too quickly. I will say though, me coming back in 2014 was directly involved because of RVD. Had wanted to promote whatever the hell he's promoting at the time. I don't remember what, I think it even exists anymore now. But leading to that, WrestleMania in 2016, oh my God. I think WrestleMania in 2016 was the longest night I've ever been a part of a wrestling show, and then recording a post show, going live for a post. It was long. And then the next day getting up and going to the barber and fulfilling our bet. Thanks to Cardona, you piece of shit, you.
We're still mad at him for that.
Forever, Matt, forever. I do remember the appreciation for Hogan. Looking back, probably not a good look. But
no.
Hey,
a lot of things we might have said were not good long term.
It's one of those. Somebody asked, I don't know if it was on a thread or whatever of yours. The only reason we have not reposted the XMVs is because 99 out of 100 of them, some sort of hot take from one of us that just is not 2022 PC friendly at all. The only one that mildly passes the test is the episode where we show my Rocky Horror audition. And I'm at a Rocky Horror audition. So is it really PC friendly? Probably not.
No. All right. Let's move on to these super chats. We got a lot more to go. Psycho Jet White sent in $2. Says, bye guys. It was a fun ride. Black wants me gone.
This black and white crime makes me sick. It's terrible. It's terrible. Anyway, carry on.
All right. So Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, who's creepier, Uncle Howdy or SummerSlam Joker? Ooh.
SummerSlam Joker?
SummerSlam Joker, the fan that was dressed up like the Joker at ringside.
God. Oh, yeah.
That guy was creepy.
He was creepy. Yeah, that was a little much. Yeah.
He might take the cake as far as creepiest persona to ever appear on a WWE show. Like, he was screaming at somebody, and
Universal should hire that guy for Horror Nights.
No shit. Like, that guy is legit creepy.
And by the way, I don't care how many Michael Myers movies do, you'll never get my ass through that place if you don't. No way.
All right, so the DVD Freak sent in a $2.40 super chat. What do you think could be the main event of WrestleMania 40? That's a long time from now.
Really?
Could it be Roman Reigns? Like, I have an idea. Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker. That's a pretty good amount of time to build up Breaker, get him established on the main roster. Some might say that's still too soon, but I'm going to go on a limb and say Braun Breaker in the main event.
How about because they're in Philly, Roman is the main event against Braun Breaker, and that's when Paul finally turns on Roman in Philadelphia. The backyard of Extreme. Why not? And launches Braun Breaker into that next level.
I like it. And Roman goes face finally, and he's had his heel run, and he can wrap up his career as a babyface.
And by the way, I still hate the Eagles for taking my WrestleMania friends away from me because everybody's going to that one instead. You guys suck, Eagles. I hate you, undefeated bastards. You. Anyway, carry on.
All right, Gomer Kyle. I like that username. Sent in a $10 super chat. Very much appreciated. Says, congrats, guys. Thanks for getting me back into wrestling in 2012 and again recently. I know you said Punk will get in the Hall of Fame, but will Moxley let them put him in as Ambrose? Jericho still gets in, right? Yeah, I say for sure on Jericho and Moxley too. Like, I think they're both easy Hall of Fame inductees. They're surefires. And Moxley, will he be John Moxley or Dean Ambrose? That's a good question. I guess time will tell on that one. I really don't know.
I think that's up to John at the end of the day, whether he wants to go or not. I mean, everybody wants to be in the Hall of Fame of their respective, career or profession or whatever, or, be that guy in their profession. But, John was very much not, I won't say he was Punk level mad when he left WWE or upset with the company, but he was definitely not a happy camper of a good majority of the time. So it'll probably take a little bit of healing for him to want to do that, but I don't see a reason why. It says here. If you guys have presence on the NWA channel, like I can't read that. I'm so
all right, well, go ahead and read that. I'll just say this. I think John Moxley will go in. Will he be Dean Ambrose or not? That remains to be seen. I think they'll honor whatever he wants. Like, if he's willing to go into the Hall of Fame, and I think he will. If he wants to be John Moxley, I think they'll acknowledge him as John Moxley, and maybe he'll go in as part of the Shield. Like, he doesn't come off to me like a guy that's a mark for it. No. It's got to be under his terms. And if he wants to be John Moxley, I think they'll be like, sure, we'll do it however you want.
And I will agree with JJ's comment there. I will say this. People have likened that part of it as far as you coming out from behind the proverbial curtain and taking over on camera very much to the Vince McMahon, Bret Hart thing. I forget who it may have been JJ. I don't remember. That I was the long-standing soldier there for however many years. It was 9 years at that point, and I was the one guy you never thought would ever leave, much like Bret was. And then off I went, and you rather than folding under the pressure, you came out and Mr. Rift came out and became the character as opposed to just the cameraman. So.
Yeah, it's like the great and powerful Oz.
Right,
back the curtain, and I had to take care of business.
And those early ones are on the channel, and Aaron and I both talked about it. It was very much like Mike and I in 2002. Very much deer in the headlights. The difference is you had to be deer in the headlights on camera. Much more challenging than he and I having to get our voices underneath us on audio. Right. So I forever will commend you for what? No, I'm not going to let this bring me down. And here we are 10 years after that fact. So
yep, still running. All right. We'll move on here. Sun Goshaku, I still can't pronounce it, no matter how many times I try,
Right.
says Austin and Rock, one match each at WrestleMania 39. And I think he meant like they could, not against each other, but their opponents. So obviously The Rock versus Roman Reigns and Steve Austin. If he came back for one more match, like I like that Roman Reigns in Texas idea, but if it's at WrestleMania, it's not going to be Roman Reigns. Who would Steve Austin face if he came back for one more match? Like, who would you put him against?
I mean, the only person there's two that come to mind here, and it's two that we didn't get because of timing and circumstances, one or the other. Brock Lesnar, which was teased on Steve Austin's show on the network with Paul and John. We never saw Austin versus Cena ever.
That would be interesting. Like if they could get I'll tell you this much. If CM Punk was promised a match with Steve Austin at WrestleMania, I think CM Punk would come back to WWE.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot here in front of the world right now.
Okay.
Watching right now because I can't see your channel analytics. If they book John Cena versus Steve Austin in Hollywood, will you come out after all?
Sure.
Okay. John, I know you're watching. Make it happen.
I mean, it would take a lot because I did not go to WrestleMania in Texas, although we really did not know up until like right before that he was actually going to wrestle.
Right. So they probably won't give it to us until right at the end, and it would be too hard to book a plane or whatever. So I will grant the courtesy of the airlines being what they cost in terms of WWE promotional strategy. How about that? Oh, you know what? There's another good thing here. Austin versus LA Knight. I'd love to see Shawn Ricker and Stone Cold. That'd be a fun match because Shawn looks up to Steve, and I know Steve thinks a lot of Shawn Ricker. So I'd be okay with that.
He's got to be more established.
Well, we're right. There's no storyline reason for it. I just think it'd be fun just because I like all the guys.
All right, moving on here. The This Guy Experience sent in $2. Thank you for that. Okay, this is an interesting one. He says, when is the best time to put Vince McMahon into the Hall of Fame? Does he even go in? Because Vince McMahon, I believe, never wanted to go into the Hall of Fame. But you feel like it's going to happen maybe when he dies. I hate to say that, but what do you think, Jeff?
It's one of those, there wasn't even a Hall of Fame when Vince Sr. passed away, and Vince made it a point when they were back in New York to make sure that his dad got the time in. The son there, Shane, inducted his grandfather. I can't see them not putting him in. He'll fight, he'll bitch, he'll moan about it. So I really think they just need to, again, it's morbid to talk about it, but wait until he dies just so he can't object. I mean, really.
Right.
I would say that you do that and you have what I would do, because it's Vince. And again, this is if they all live this long, because, we always talked about what freaking, and again, we brought this up with JJ too. The garden, means so much to that family. But if not, if all these guys live this long, when they get to his induction, it should be Hogan, Austin, Cena, and Roman collectively inducting, and either Shane or Hunter accepting.
I think that would be great. I'll just say this, and then we'll move to the next question. I think it'll be after Vince passes, because I feel like people are still feeling negative about him. But when he dies, and he will, everybody's going to die eventually. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the day he dies, I think people are going to reflect positively on him. The negativity will go away, and people will honor the contributions that he made. And I think that will be when he goes in.
Fair point here. Even in the midst of the allegations and what was being said, every time that music hit, the crowd ate him up positively. So I don't think it'll take him dying. I think the only reason he gets stuck when he dies is because he can't object, not the rest of the world.
We got another Royal Rumble question here from Retro Pixel Drew 64. Retro Pixel Drew 64. Interesting username there. So this question is, which one would you prefer for number 1 and number 2 in the Royal Rumble? Dominic and Rey Mysterio, or Sami Zayn and Jey Uso? Interesting.
I wouldn't do either combination, and I only say that because you build toward that. You don't throw it in there the first 2 minutes of the match.
I agree.
You want these, and again, the Dominic and Ray thing is going to go until they actually get a one-on-one match. That's going to be a thing. With Sammy and Jay, these little things need to keep happening. There goes my grandma out the damn window. Need to keep happening where it finally just explodes. Whether it's at the Rumble, whether it's a tag title match at Mania, whatever the case may be, there needs to be a definitive, all right, enough's enough, and they come to blows. And if it's in the Rumble, maybe the Bloodline's in there together trying to pull a legacy, trying to pull a NWO and save Roman, save Hogan from having to defend the title against some jabron they don't feel is worthy, and Sammy or Jay messes up, and then off they go. That's how
I think that Jay and Sami Zayn would just stand in the ring and not fight each other until the next people come out. Ray and Dominic, I think Dominic needs to be out there dominating, and then Rey Mysterio comes down and tosses out Dominic. But Dominic needs to be in there for a while before Ray comes out, eliminates him, and that'll set up perhaps WrestleMania. And Adrian said maybe Dominic eliminates Ray, which sets up a match for WrestleMania. But
what I would do is like you said, have Ray eliminate Dom, and then have Judgment Day with Dominic's help eliminate Ray back, and then that's what sets them on the road to SoFi.
Yeah, that's a good idea right there. Sean Garner sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Says, if Cody Rhodes is returning at the Rumble, what number should he enter at? Good question.
Anything but 30, because 30 is too obvious.
I agree, although the thing is, after that, going back to earlier, if he's cleared, Randy Orton could be number 30, so you have somebody special in that last Raw coming back. In a perfect world, if Randy Orton is cleared by then, he'd be a good number 30, and then him versus Cody at the end. But yeah, I'd have him in there for a while, not put him in there at like 27. See, I'm not a big fan of that because he doesn't really have to do much to win. I like him being at like 20, so he has to be in there for a while and go through the ringer before he gets to have the victory.
I would say at least second half, 16 or later.
I agree. All right, next super chat here from Psycho Jet Black. Should the IC and US titles main event more premium live events?
We need to get the Intercontinental title on more events than one per every 3 years first. Let's get to that milestone first, shall we? Yeah, because before the Clash, it wasn't defended on a pay-per-view since Pandemic Mania. So let's build that back up on appearances. I think if they're going to keep Roman as a part-timer, then yeah. I think if they're going to keep the title as a part-time, then yeah, they should.
I agree. If Roman Reigns is going to be the unified champion for another year, then 100% they should build that up for one of these B shows. But we'll have to see what they do with the pay-per-view schedule. It seems like they're going to be making some changes, and maybe there won't really be an opportunity to do that because perhaps the non-A shows will be like King of the Ring or something like that, where that's going to be the main event.
Well, you figure you've got, I don't know if we talked about Open Mic Night. I wasn't there for that particular show because I had to, or actually I was there for that part of the show, but not the whole thing because I was in and out of break over at Disney. But you figure they're going to have the four big ones, Rumble, Mania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, or Survivor Series. King of the Ring's coming back allegedly. Money in the Bank will be in place in theory. There's 6, unless they move Money in the Bank to a Mania match only, if they even keep the concept at all, which at this point I don't see them doing. You figure 2 Saudi shows, that's 8. UK show is 9. Chambers 10. And then you've got, if they bring it back, the women's pay-per-view, and then take a break in December, maybe just to have like December be kind of a buffer month. The secondary titles should main event the secondary shows. I mean, that's just the easiest way to book it for my money.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I would definitely consider doing it under the right circumstances and the right storyline.
Definitely has to be a good story. You can't just say, okay, well, Intercontinental is main event because Intercontinental title. It's like, no, the luster is long off that where you have that be the main event because it's the Intercontinental title. Same with the U.S. title. They can't just carry it because they are what they are. It has to be a good, solid, built-up story first.
All right, we got some more super chats here. Much appreciated, everybody. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Says, "Is Cedric Alexander's hair more over than Von Wagner?"
This goes back to me cracking on Cedric's hair last week. Yes, it is, sadly.
Although I think the really awful music that Cedric Alexander has now counteracts that, and I actually might say Von Wagner is more over than Cedric Alexander with that awful music.
I think what's more over than either one of them is me hitting the mute button to turn the channel when I see Von Wagner on or hear Cedric's music. So there you go.
All right, the real Wyatt, who's been disrupting your feed, Jeff. Uncle Howdy is Barry Windham, Bray's real life uncle. Breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Hey, you know what? If Barry can be on stage at StarCast with the Horsemen, Barry can be Uncle Howdy. Why the hell not?
All right. B-Man sent in $5. Thank you, B-Man. Says, "I think Tony Khan will keep CM Punk after all the drama and eyes he's brought to AEW." Jeff, I don't think that's going to happen. Based off of all the comments about CM Punk, like there was a report that Chris Jericho called CM Punk a cancer to the locker room, and Jericho is stepping up as the locker room leader now. I don't think CM Punk is coming back to AEW. I really don't. I think that is less likely than him wrestling in WWE. I think WWE, there's a better chance of him coming back if he comes back at all.
Let me a little inside baseball real quick here. Part of my training at Disney was our cast motto is we create happiness for the guests. That's what our job is. We create happiness. And I actually got this shirt at work the other day just because I needed the t-shirt because I needed a fresh. CM Punk does not create or radiate happiness in the locker room right now, nor probably will he in the way that everybody feels about him at the moment. And Jericho is not far off the mark, calling him a cancer. So I don't think that, as like I said earlier, as long as Phil Brooks's head is not on straight, CM Punk isn't worth having around.
I agree on that. And I think AEW just needs to move on and work on building the guys that they have.
Yep.
All right. Psycho Jet Black with another $2 super chat says, "Aside from Dewdrop," and I'll go first on this one. He says, "Wait, who else needs a gimmick change? Baron Corbin." 100% yep. Corbin.
Corbin needs to find a way to get into DeLorean, go back about 7 years, bring his lone wolf self to the proper timeline and kick his own ass. And JBL's with it just because. The lone wolf Baron Corbin, I will always say, was the reason that my son stopped rooting for Kofi, that combined with the New Day thing not going anywhere at the time. So Baron Corbin becoming what he has become ruined my son's fandom of wrestling for a while. So please change that damn gimmick back. Exactly. Lone Wolf Corbin all the way, man. The entrance was solid. The attitude was there. The guy won the Dre, and then he went off the rails, completely off the rails after that. So,
all right. B-Man sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, "Will Roman Reigns go into the Hall of Fame 3 times as Shield, Bloodline, and himself?" I think so.
If anybody's going to 3 times for 3 different reasons, it would be Roman, because the Shield has been touted, whether you agree with it or not, as the greatest faction in WWE history, which whatever. The Bloodline is definitely solid right now. They're my favorite part of television right now. And Roman has proven to be a sustainable, long-term main eventer. So,
I mean, they're going to run out of people. So 20 years from now, they're going to need some headliners. And I absolutely 100%. And you guys, 30 years from now, if you remember this video, I'm calling it Roman Reigns will be inducted 3 times.
Now, you say they run out of people. They clearly already have, because Coco Beware went in.
Yeah, they ran out back in 2009.
Sorry,
Adrian.
Coco, people like you, but I don't think you're a Hall of Famer.
He's a nice guy, though.
I'm sure he is. Never met him, but I'm sure he is.
Adrian sent in a €2 super chat. And the answer is probably no for me. Would you ever consider going to the UK for a premium live event? I don't think I would.
With all
due respect.
If you ask us before the pandemic, it would be a consideration. It's so even now with things being lessened as far as, restrictions or whatever, it is still a pain in the ass to fly. It is terrible and it's expensive as shit. It really is. It's awful cost. It's marginally cost ineffective when you figure you're going to pay to fly there, you're going to pay to fly back, you're going to pay for the premium live event, you're going to buy souvenirs, you're going to tour wherever you're going to be, whether England's, you're going to do a tour because you're in Europe and you're an American. You don't want to not see that shit. So it would really depend on finances also. Finances are the ultimate, it always is. Money's the bottom line of everything. If financial was better, I would still consider it. But right now, no.
I agree with you on that. It's just a lot of hassle and the time change and everything. I just don't really have that kind of interest. I don't even go to domestic events now. So
I was going to say, he's not coming to Mania in his own friggin' hometown because it's too damn expensive and too much of a pain in the ass. So
yeah, I mean, it's more just the production. Like if I could get in a warp pipe and be there without having to fly, I probably would.
Yeah, and there's as far as the thing with Aaron now is, like we talk about, this is how he makes his living. So being able to go on after SmackDown Hall of Fame, after Stand and Deliver, after Mania both nights, after Raw after Mania, and be able to live stream and be able to have an effective internet account, which clearly isn't happening here tonight. It's not logistically feasible.
Right. Now, Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. He asks, is Bray Wyatt supposed to be a face or a tweener?
I don't think we're supposed to know yet.
I think you're right on that, but I sense he's a good guy. We could still see this go in a different direction, but I feel like he's got to be a good guy, but he might be the split personality. Maybe he has a good side and a bad side, and he's going to be somewhere in the middle. We'll have to wait and see. I
mean, Mr. Rogers and The Fiend were different facets of personalities, so maybe this Wyndham Rotunda side of Bray and this Uncle Howdy thing will be the battle we get now. Now, the Cleaver Colin Andrews sent us an email question. He says, if you had to make a new Evolution type faction out of the current WWE, NXT, and AEW Ring of Honor rosters, who would it consist of? If you had to make an Evolution that would consist of anybody from any of the major promotions. Well, I like Ricky Starks. I'd put him in there. And maybe Austin Theory, give him a reboot. Like Austin Theory, somebody mentioned this earlier. He needs to be in a group again, I think. I did. Away.
Yeah. Yep. So maybe that, like with Ricky Starks and Austin Theory. And
I would say Starks and Theory in the Orton Batista roles. I would say the present would be, Roman's the Triple H right now. So, and the past, the past would be a guy that's still competing, but he's not got quite the shine on him that he used to. There's quite a few of those guys in all the companies right now, right? There's few main eventers that are at that level. Jericho doesn't fit in the Evolution group. Jericho's his own master. That's fair. That's a fair statement from JJ. That's true, because you got Regal and you got Claudio and Brian working, and you got Yuta as the future. So he's right. God, and Moxley's the present, if you will. God, I can't think of a past guy that would fit in with a Starks Theory group. Even if it's not Roman as the present day star.
Too bad he wasn't a bigger star, but Shelton Benjamin would be a good choice as a veteran.
Yeah. Shelton not really lost the shine. It's just he hasn't been given the chance to shine since the breakup of the Hurt Business. So, there are a lot of quality people in wrestling right now that would be a great mentor to pass down from the past to the present and the future. And that's a great thing. You and I both talk about all the time on our streams, Aaron. It's never been a better time to be a fan. There's so many options to choose from that making this kind of decision with a 4-man group is challenging.
We got another email question here from Brian, Brien. He said, thanks for many years of great and interesting wrestling videos. Since it was just Halloween, and this is kind of the opposite from earlier, he wants to know our favorite matches from Halloween Havoc And also, do we like Halloween 2, the 1981 version? I love it. It's my personal favorite Halloween. Yep. So Halloween Havoc, we were talking about those terrible Halloween Havoc moments. As far as great moments, I really enjoyed Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, the steel cage match from the 94 Halloween Havoc. Okay. And 98 Halloween Havoc, Goldberg versus DDP, and of course Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero from the 97 Halloween Havoc. What about you, Jeff?
I'm a fan of the post-match Hogan Savage because of Roddy's return, although it kind of was what it was. The moment was really cool for us old school WWF fans. That was really neat promo exchange. You mentioned 94. Honestly, 90. What was it? I'm trying to think what year it was. Give me a second here. Oh, 97. Except for the finish, Savage Page in the Las Vegas Death Match was really good. They're all three matches I've interviewed with them were really good that year. It was just the finish of that with Hogan dressed as Sting was stupid, as it often was with Hogan and dressing as whoever was stupid. The 97 Hogan period at Halloween Havoc was just bad. As far as Halloween, I only don't like Halloween 2 because it introduced the sibling thing, which, yes, it prolonged the franchise to an extent, but it also kind of pigeonholed it until whatever it was, 2018. So there's good and bad there. It's definitely better than 5 or Curse. Sorry, Virtue. Theatrical Curse. I'll grant that leeway. It's sure as shit better than Resurrection. God. Oh, yeah. Oh, what a piece of shit that is.
Anyways, let's move on here. This is a wrestling discussion, but it's fun to throw in a little random non-wrestling question.
Okay.
All right, so Dustin Herrick sent in $2, says, what's the best way to reintroduce Bo Dallas? I think he should be Uncle Howdy. I don't know who it's going to be under the makeup. I mean, it looks like Bray, but theoretically it could be Bo Dallas. I think Bo Dallas needs to be aligned with Bray Wyatt and has to show his dark side. It would be kind of cool if there was like a character that was trying to get Bray Wyatt to do bad things, and Bray Wyatt has to fight to break away from this evil character, and eventually he does. Maybe that's where they're going with this.
I would say the best way to introduce that person would to not make him go back wrestling doesn't want to. I would say have Taylor Rotunda sell WWE the property that gets him a Hall of Fame building because he's a real estate agent now. Boom, there you go.
Perfect. All right, Psycho Jet Black. I'll go first on this one. He says
he's giving us all kinds of money tonight, dude. Good for him.
Yeah. Thank you, Psycho Jet Black. We appreciate it. Which top 5 guys should AEW push as the future? Okay. MJF, obviously. Wardlow. Ricky Starks. And I'm blanking now.
Oh, I still have hope for Ethan Page.
I agree.
I like him.
Yeah, let's add him.
Guys get great upside. And whatever they do with Garcia, I'm still about him. So those 5 for sure.
Garcia doesn't really do anything for me. Neither does Wheeler Yuta.
Of the 2, I'll say Garcia, just because there's still a little bit of coal to be brushed off to make the diamond. He's still rough around the edges.
I say the Acclaim too. You could put them as one entity or 2 separate people, but both of them are doing great stuff here.
Yeah, the Acclaimed have ridiculous upside still, even now. But yeah, I definitely would say Starks again. Ricky Starks was so bummed about not doing the interview with us that he came up to me and the Jericho Cruise and apologized for not being able to do the interview. That's how much I think of Ricky Starks, and vice versa, how much he thinks of us.
Oh well, he was an old NoDQ CAW fan. I don't know if anybody out there knew that.
Yeah, he told me, of course, but that's, small boat, small space, big.
And I'm serious too. There are wrestlers that are in AEW and young guys that were actually watching NoDQ CAW. That blows my mind.
I know. Watching your stuff, watching Talk Wrestling, I just go, all right, thank you all. Good night. I'm gonna go get my Ovaltine and my cookie. We'll see y'all next week. I'll go get my walker to get to bed.
But that's how you know we're old, when you find out that guys that are in AEW now, young wrestlers coming up, when they were growing up, they were watching Talk Wrestling, watching NoDQ CAW. That blows my mind.
Yeah, it's so, like I said, I feel I age every time I talk to a current wrestler or I go to the hockey games and watch these guys that are, 20 years younger than me when I was, a baby watching these old guys. So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, Starks, definitely MJF, without a doubt.
Powerhouse Hobbs too. He's another one.
I wasn't sold on Hobbs until the cruise. He and Starks had that match with Orange Jericho in the main event of the last night. And Hobbs's personality started to emerge even then on the cruise. It wasn't on TV yet, but he's definitely got upside. They need to just make it happen for him. I think if Hook gets a little bit more development, maybe.
Yeah, we got to hear him cut a really strong promo. Ricky Starks can talk.
Yeah, Starks could be a mouthpiece for the rest of that group. I mean, really. Him and Max both. So
good question there. We thank you for that one.
Hey, hell, $2 got him a great answer. Good on you, Psycho.
Yep. Adrian sent in a €5 super chat. Thank you, Adrian. Says, will the Bray Wyatt character be like Festus in the ring when he eventually wrestles? Who do you think will be his first feud, not including himself?
Okay, man. So first of all, God bless Doc Gallows, man. He had to eat a big old shit gimmick, right? I've still not been impressed with Bray's in-ring work. I never really have been. And again, I'm not a wrestler. My shape is pear. That's my in shape. I'm the shape of a freaking pear. So I can't talk about in-ring shape or in-ring work, but as a fan, I've been impressed with Bray Wyatt, the character, not Bray Wyatt, the wrestler. So I don't think they're going to overly emphasize his wrestling abilities. I don't think that's going to be part of the presentation. As far as his first feud, I really want to see where this goes first. I don't even want to speculate what's going to happen after this Uncle Howdy thing resolves itself, because I want to see it play out, even if it is long.
I would like to see Bray Wyatt versus Karrion Kross at some point. I'm not sure when, but like you said, we need to see how this whole storyline plays out with him and Uncle Howdy first, but that would be an interesting one.
I like the interaction, but we brought up Kross. I like the interaction. Somebody brought up they want to see Kross and Aldis in WWE, and both of them co-signed on it. I'm like, from a technical standpoint, absolutely. And then if you get Mickey and Scarlett involved, that's a hell of a decent thing to build.
Well, speaking of Bray Wyatt, Darren Frazier sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Darren. Much appreciated. Says, do you think Asuka would be one of the Wyatt Six instead of Alexa Bliss? I could see them feuding, and it could give Alexa something else to do. I don't see it personally.
No, I don't either. And I honestly don't know if you want to further along the devaluing of Asuka, because if you put her in that group and then they split up, where do you go with her? She's kind of got I'm not saying a decent rhythm, but a better rhythm down than she's had working with Alexa. So I think breaking them up, either of them going with the Wyatts, is a bad idea personally. But again, my dad always told me, one step at a time, solve one problem at a time. Get the Uncle Howdy thing first, then we'll see how it branches out.
Yeah, maybe Liv Morgan would be a better fit for.
Liv would be a wonderful fit, considering where she's going with her character right now. I'm all for that. Absolutely.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Says, it was one thing when Vince McMahon pushed Roman Reigns as the top guy, but why was he so hell-bent on getting him cheered by everyone? Cena was booed by half the crowd.
So was Roman for whatever it was. How many, 5-6 years,
merchandise, man, money, kids.
Yeah. There's a question over here besides, what was it? Besides, God, where was it? But anyway, I'll go ahead and I'll get up in a second, but yeah. I still to this day don't know why they kept making, why Vince felt necessary to keep forcing Roman upon all of us, right? It was just, it was ridiculous how they kept doing that. I kind of agree with Mo to a certain extent as far as keep them away from Bray. I don't think either one of them are cringe. I like both of them personally. But I think they need to just let the characters develop wherever they're going to without having to, put them into a must do with Bray. So the question was, besides Hogan, who was the biggest merchandise seller? Austin, right?
Yeah. Oh, Austin for sure. Austin was number one.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't see an NWO shirt, you saw a 316 shirt. That was just the way it was back then.
Now, Jeff,
sure.
Speaking of the NWO, Psycho Jet Black wanted to know the more influential group, NWO or Four Horsemen.
Damn.
Tough call, man. Horsemen, without Horsemen, there would be no NWO, period. But the NWO influenced the wrestling world in the sense that people were trying to be cool like the NWO. DX, prime example. And wrestling really hit a new level of popularity. But it's a tough one, man, because the Four Horsemen, they started the cool heel. They were the ones that got it going in the first place.
I think if the Horsemen hadn't existed, the NWO wouldn't exist. I'll agree.
Correct.
If the NWO didn't exist, there would have been no Monday Night War.
Yeah.
Which, would we be sitting here in 2022? Probably not. I mean,
here's my hot take on it. The Four Horsemen was The Sopranos. The Sopranos reinvented television. It was a groundbreaking show. And then Breaking Bad came along and they took what Sopranos did and made it even better and made it even more epic. So Sopranos, Four Horsemen, Breaking Bad, NWO. That's my hot take for the night.
Yeah, it's very much akin to that. You talk about the influences in the world over the years. Elvis changed music. The Beatles changed the world. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. People, rightfully so, sing the praises of Elvis Presley, but the Beatles changed more than music with their influence. As to the NWO, they changed wrestling and they re-permeated wrestling into pop culture after the fallout of the late 80s, early 90s.
All right, we got some more super chats. I appreciate the Beatles praise, Jeff. Love it.
And by the way, if Mrs. Boss says it's time to cut it, let me know because I'm way behind you. I am good on time, so let me know.
We're gonna try to get to all the super chats here before the end of the night. We might go another hour. We'll see how things progress here.
Good to me, brother.
Dustin Herrick sent in $2. Thank you, Dustin. Says, is the mandible claw too graphic for TV nowadays? I don't think so.
No, because they still show it on the network on Peacock. You know what is too what the one of the banned word is from the network now? You cannot say the R word that means developmentally challenged.
Yeah, that Eugene gimmick did not really age well.
Talking about Kane being a big red.
Yeah, that was Eugene's character.
Much. Oh, I froze again?
Yeah.
Okay. Kane being called a big red blank so much, it's beeped almost every show. So, yeah.
Yeah. Rock said it a lot.
Yeah, it really was, especially with Bray in '99. Oh my, I know. Oh, battery's dying. That's happy. All right, hang on, guys.
All right, so
I'm here off camera so I can get the thing plugged in.
We are having some technical difficulties, bound to happen after 2 hours.
Right,
we thank everybody for continuing on with us here as we go through the greatest wrestling Q&A of all time.
That's right.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. I'll answer this, Jeff. Says, will WWE still have comedy gimmicks going forward? Yes, I think you have to have some comedy in wrestling. It can't all be serious all the time. It's good to have comedy for the opening match, comedy at the house shows. I think they will have the comedy characters. And even with Johnny Gargano and The Miz, that's more or less a comedy storyline right now. So, yeah, I think they will keep it going. Maybe it'll be toned down. There won't be quite as much as there was during the Vince regime. But, yeah, I do think we will continue to see some comedy gimmicks in wrestling. Jeff, are you still with us?
There's going to be a little bit of comedy in wrestling because at the end of the day, I've said this on my streams now for the better part of almost 3 years since I've been doing this. And we talked about this before you. Hell, I'm going to hold it. Hell with it. No, I can't do that. Jesus Christ. Wrestling will always be sports entertainment. It'll always be that variety show, right? So you got a little comedy, a little drama, a little violence, little horror, with Bray Wyatt, every now and again. But eventually it'll be, like you said, the variety show. It'll be, a little bit of everything mixed in together.
I agree, Jeff. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, Jeff, your chair looks very comfortable to sit in.
It's not my chair, it's my dad's. I'm at the old house tonight because I wanted the nostalgic feel, the place I really got started on NoDQ originally. So there you go. That's why I'm here.
All right. Thank you for that, Jeff. And Dustin Herrick sent in a $2 super chat, says, could AEW benefit from hiring Jim Cornette?
No, God, no. Don't even put that out in the universe. Please don't do that.
I'll throw this out there. I would be entertained by Jim Cornette being on AEW television, but I mean, that would be as effective as Jeff Jarrett being in AEW. I just don't really see the long-term impact that it'll make.
It would do just not positive impact.
Yeah, like if Jim Cornette showed up, it would get some heat, no doubt about it. But I'm thinking it's not really necessary, and bringing him in as like a consultant or something. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I don't think he would be a good fit with AEW.
Yeah, no, it would be bad like X-Pac heat, long term, just because it's such a dangerous idea. He's such a loose cannon, and he truly detests Matt and Nick. Like, he really hates those guys, like on levels that I can't even properly verbalize. So for him to be on AEW television would just be a bad, even in AEW in a creative or an influencing role in any way, would just be bad for business overall.
All right. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, I want Randy Orton to put over Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. What say you? Like, basically redoing WrestleMania, right? That would be correcting the wrongs from WrestleMania 37.
And from 33, remember, they had that god-awful match with the bugs in the ring, too. So I'm going to switch cameras, and I'll answer the question more thoroughly.
All right. Sounds good.
I'll be right back.
All right. And the Real Wyatt sent in a $2 super chat, says, I will say on behalf of Bray Wyatt, Orton deserves pain. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's get Jeff back in. Welcome back, Jeff.
There we go.
It's been a while.
Off the phone on the regular computer now because it's just issues. Yeah, I think for lack of a better term, the fan thinking of 50-50 booking always needs to be a thing. There always needs, people need to get their wins back. It's not really necessary. Do both of those matches need to have better thinking processes? No doubt about it. The whole LED bugs thing in the ring at 33 was ridiculous. And the finish and the very nature of the feud after TLC with, the Fiend being burned alive and Alexa turning on Bray and it going nowhere. I think that whatever incarnation we get of Bray Wyatt this time, once Randy's done with Riddle, one more go. Why not?
B-Man sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, B-Man. Much appreciated. Says, do you think WWE will portray Bray Wyatt as the new Undertaker with mystical powers? Didn't they already try that with The Fiend?
Tried that with Mordecai, too.
Yeah. Oh, don't remind us of that one. Says, by the way, love the throwback to the old Q&As with Jeff.
It's always good to get back on NoDQ with Aaron and talk about wrestling, or sports entertainment, if you will. But as far as, again, Aaron, I told you this in private and on the air. I don't really like when people say, "Oh, is this person the next this person?" Let Bray Wyatt be Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. I mean, we were making the comparisons when he started as The Fiend, but then that fizzled out. And we talked about Bray Wyatt coming back and how maybe he should be toned down as far as the supernatural aspect of it goes. So yeah, I would not have him be like the classic Undertaker, but maybe a hybrid, maybe a little bit more of a realistic character mixed in with some of the supernatural elements, but tone it down for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So by the way, everybody that was watching on my channel, I cut the feed just because technical stuff. So thank you for the one person that sent the $2 in on my channel, but please come over here and feed it on in, boys and girls.
Right.
There we go.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, "Hey Baron, have you seen 3 from Hell?"
Oh God, here we go with the freaking Rob song. Leave Rob alone. He's a human being too.
I will not see that movie no matter how many times you ask me. I do have to watch Devil's Rejects, though, because it's on Caitlin and I's horror movie poster. We're watching 100 horror movies, and we scratch off each movie we've seen. And, yeah, we have to watch Devil's Rejects. Why it was put on there, I'm still wondering.
Hey, at the opposite of their house, I saw that list of you and JJ put together of movies and TV shows I got to watch before I die. It's ever-growing and never-ending.
Right. Well, you better get to it.
I know. I'm turning 40. I got time.
Dustin Herrick with a $5 super shadow boy. Jeff, how much for you to do the Rick Rude dance while singing I'm Just a Sexy Boy?
Okay, well, there's several facets to this answer. First of all, I'm in the old house and it looks like shit, so I can't have the background be on, number one. Number two, I'm literally in. What happened?
You're not Greg Cherry.
I'm not Greg Cherry. Number two, I'm not Greg Cherry. I'm not going to be, taking super chats for dancing or fitness things. Although, hey, it works for him, and he's getting the super chats off it. Number three, I'm literally in pajama lounge pants, so that'd be a horrible sight. So, thank you. I appreciate the offer, but find a better way to super chat Aaron and I, please. I beg of you.
Psycho Jet Black says, "Is Mo Camera more over than Von Wagner?" Yes,
he is with us.
We like Mo Camera.
We love Mo Camera on this channel. Absolutely.
Dustin Herrick sent in another $2 super chat, says, "Can Roman Reigns do acting as good as The Rock?" I haven't really seen much of Roman Reigns' acting other than what he does on WWE TV, and he's good.
I know he was in that one cameo role in one of, I forget, it was the Fast and Furious, one of the movies Rock was in. Time will tell.
And I like The Rock, but I feel like if you've seen one movie with him, you've seen them all. He's the, big, tough, charismatic guy. He does a great job, but, it's just Dwayne Johnson.
I think he's definitely branched out a lot since he first started. So I think there's a reason he's one of the biggest box office draws in the world still now. Roman, again, people said The Rock wouldn't do well, and he did. People said John wouldn't do well. He hasn't done as well as Rock by any means, but he's definitely branched out well into movies. So we'll see. Oh God, Psycho's chat. Good Lord.
Didn't Aaron end up in a towel once due to the chats?
I don't know. If he did, I didn't see that stream.
I think that was around Money in the Bank 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
All I know is I wish now we could go back and redo a lot of the XMVs, because we can give people super chat stuff to throw at you off camera, and we would make millions of dollars. We really would.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. But yeah, we threw so much shit at this poor guy. I'm surprised he has any bodily function intact at this point, for real.
I know.
Threw him down a slide, threw him off a freaking poor guy.
Threw me down a hill when I was dressed up as Vince McMahon.
Yeah, that's right. We killed Vince first. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he blew up too.
He blew up and everything right in the camera.
They stole our idea.
He did. Damn him.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Little deep question here. Describe what your friendship means to both of you.
God damn.
That's a loaded question, right? I mean, Jeff, deep. Without you, like, who knows how far I would have gone. You've definitely been a big help, and helping me out with all this stuff. It's been very much appreciated, and it's been a lot of fun memories, and that's what life's about.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of what I have if not for this guy, and I had to kind of trace it back a little bit. I actually wrote a beautiful, I think it's beautiful letter to both you and Caitlin when her birthday, your anniversary, and and Halloween came up, I always blame my friend Jenna for introducing me to Jade or meeting Jade at one of a Rue show, but I wouldn't have gone to those Rue shows if I wasn't working for you in the first place, because I wouldn't have been getting myself out there and having the social anxiety go away of being out in public and being a public persona, and that's directly tied into working with you and Mike. So in a Kevin Bacon sort of way, you are the reason I have my child. So I mean, yeah, that's what it is. If there had been a non-pandemic blowout wedding, I'd have been next to this guy at the altar when he married Caitlin. So I mean, that's really what it is. That's what it is to us.
Very well said, Jeff, and thank you for that one, Psycho Jet Black, and getting us a little on the emotional side here.
Right?
Matt Phillips Reviews sent in $2 and says, and thank you, Matt, if The Rock beats John Cena at WrestleMania, why not beat Roman Reigns too? Well, I'll answer this first. I think that Roman Reigns is in a different spot than John Cena. Roman Reigns is the head of the table, and he's on a historic championship run. Whoever beats Roman Reigns is going to be the man. Rock doesn't need to beat him, and they're probably not doing a rematch. The Rock, if he does this match at WrestleMania 39, I suspect it will be a one-off, in which case he should not be beating Roman Reigns.
No, you figure it's in Hollywood. It's to cement Roman once and for all. I will say this, though, Aaron. On the flip side of that, if he does defeat Roman, which I'm not advocating for, I'm not, promoting that should be a thing, he will have beat every face of the company post Bruno. Hogan, Austin, Cena, and Roman at WrestleMania. So
that's
how do you not argue that The Rock is the true greatest of all time if he's beaten literally the faces of the company at on their biggest stage? So there is that little carrot to dangle in front of the fans, like, hey, maybe it'll happen. It shouldn't, but it might.
Never say never, right?
Yep. I need to go to the Oregon Zoo. Somebody mentioned meeting you guys at the Oregon Zoo, or meeting you at the Oregon Zoo. I still, as much famous, I've never been to that zoo, and I hear I've seen your pictures. It's gorgeous. So
yeah, great zoo.
Gotta get up there.
The Real Wyatt sent in $2, says, to be clear, I am myself. Revel in what you are.
And stop shutting down my technology, you big jerk.
Stop effing with Jeff's stream. We would appreciate that very much. Now, Adrian sent in a €5 super chat. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you to everybody super chatting. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
You guys have made this the greatest wrestling Q&A ever, I think.
Yes. Payday for sure, which is nice. So
yeah. Could we see a character like Muhammad Hassan in WWE in 2022, 2023? A very underrated heel, in my opinion. Jeff, I agree with him about being underrated. I liked the character.
Yep.
That being said, highly unlikely in all likelihood.
I think it was too controversial even then. And the fact that they nixed it so quickly because there was a real terrorist situation, I think it was in London is when that happened. It would just lead to having to scramble too much if they reintroduced a character like that.
Cleaver Colin Andrew said he went to the San Diego Zoo. That's a good zoo too.
San Diego Zoo. So, all right, here you go for both of you. For both of you and Colin, if you've been there. San Diego Zoo or San Diego Wild Animal Park? Which is better?
I like the Wild Animal Park just because it's a little bit more of an open space for the animals.
Yes. Now, if you are even an experienced driver on the freeway going south, once you pass the Wild Animal Park and you start seeing signs written in Spanish, you've gone too far. And if you have your children with you like my mama did, you may want to turn around. Oh, wait, you can't because you're at the border. You're screwed. Yeah, careful driving on the freeway out here, folks.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, best Aaron moment, the table spot or the towel?
So which table spot? The one where you through yourself through it recently?
I threw myself through a table. I forgot why, but I did throw myself through a table once.
Was the one off the chair with was that you or was that Austin Abney?
That was Austin.
Okay, because that's better than both of those. He straight up damn near killed himself.
Yeah, we did some wild things back in those
pre-XMV
fantasy
days.
wrestling. Like, I wouldn't even call it backyard wrestling, but just
it
like
was in your office. It wasn't even in your yard.
living room wrestling.
Yeah, we were young and teenage and did some stupid shit. But the better spot, I think, was the table. That was pretty funny.
All right, Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. And by the way, there are some XMV moments on YouTube on a different channel. If you look up XMV NoDQ, you can find them if you want to see some of the old stuff that's up. And I'm not even sure, like, if it's politically correct or not.
Stick out of my mind.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, "What are the greatest Bart Gunn matches and moments?" Oh, here we go.
Oh God, with this Bart Gunn shit.
Best Bart Gunn moment: getting knocked out by Butterbean.
Worst Bart Gunn moment: getting knocked out by Butterbean.
There you go.
In the same moment. Honestly, the best moment I think for him was being on Dark Side of the Ring and being able to explain his damn self. Poor guy. For real, I think the best Bart Gunn moment was probably, I mean, the Smoking Guns were a decent gimmick in an era where the gimmicks were prolific. They were awful, but I liked the Smoking Guns. I liked them more when they turned heel and joined up with Tammy. Let's not front. But yeah, Bart Gunn moments were so few and far between. They're just, ugh.
I mean, Adrian says time to go to bed once the Bart questions start coming in.
Well, yeah, for him, it's freaking, damn near 2:15 in the morning. So good on him.
We're running out of material, folks.
That's right.
The Real Wyatt sent in $2. Says, "Mo, Colin, the Psycho brothers, and I revel in peace."
Well, good. We're glad you all are at peace. Now, for the love of God, stop disrupting my stream.
Thank you for the super chat and stop with the shenanigans. All right, so here's a little question geared towards the future from City by the Bay. Thank you.
There you go.
Who will break out as a star in 2023 among AEW and WWE? Well, I mentioned his name before. He's going to be a breakout star. He's already breaking out. His name is Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker, Ricky Starks, MJF, even though he's already broken out, I think will continue.
Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez.
Yep, both those ladies are definitely due. Gigi and what's her partner's name? I always forget her partner's name. Not Gigi Jolen, not Mandy. The other Jade is going to kill me on this one. I feel terrible. Both girls Toxic Attraction, not named. Although Mandy too, she was back in the main roster. All three of those girls are definitely, and you know what? Just because it was said in the chat room, I will say Dominic Mysterio will be a breakout star. Why not? If the feud with Ray is booked well, and they honestly. JC, thank you. God, Colin. God, listen. JC Jane, thank you. God, guys, killing me. I appreciate y'all. JC and Gigi both. But if Dominic is now that, kind of the shine's off it because they've shown how inexperienced he is and put him out there anyway. If they work this angle right with Rhea and the Judgment Day, he could be a breakout in 2023. Solo Sikoa's another great one, Adrian. I definitely think Solo has that potential that even now has not been fully tapped yet.
Yeah, Solo definitely. I think his best years are certainly to come. All right, Steve-O sent in an email question. He says, this is also about the future. What is something that you think could help for the future of wrestling? What's a single idea you think could get more eyes to WWE, AEW, or even wrestling in general?
I'm going to probably hate myself in the morning for this one, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. It was revealed on Raw. What's been their most watched YouTube clip in history? The thing with Logan Paul on Saturday, right? The big dive. I think puppies, damn you, Colin. I think that if they were to not necessarily hate on the internet crowd so much, provided they filter some of the crap people out and actually do what they said they were going to do, when they went in the ring however many years ago and actually listened to the people. Because the McMahon stood out there and said, you guys are in charge now, and that proved to be a bunch of bullshit. It seems like it's maybe turning a corner now, but there's still a long way to go. The best thing about wrestling that could be good for wrestling, that's an idea that hasn't been entertained a lot in recent years, is just keep the management people off of television. Keep Tony Khan backstage. Keep Paul Levesque backstage. Triple H come out and cut a promo as DX stuff, whatever. Cool. Keep management off of television. Period. It's just a bad idea to have a coach be an on-screen player. We said it for years. That should not be a thing anymore. Positive-wise, since I'm trying to radiate the happiness, I think that there needs to be a definitive hierarchy in all the companies as far as, okay, you guys are on Raw and SmackDown. You guys are on Dynamite. Okay, you guys are on NXT. You guys are on Rampage. Okay, you guys are on developmental YouTube-only show if WWE brings that one back. You guys are on Dark Elevation. And if those guys are on Dark Elevation, the YouTube WWE show, they need to cultivate those guys and really give them the time to be on camera and even in front of that live crowd, but actually harness what talent they have and filter them through the system properly. I've seen a lot of people come to television that just aren't ready. And it's been that way for a long time.
Well said, Jeff. I'll sum this up real quick. I think you have to change the format of the shows every now and then.
Especially Raw.
Whatever you've been relying on for many years, whether it's contract signings or starting the show with a promo and then turning it into a tag team match afterwards, like you got to throw that all in the trash, just like the 24/7 title went in the trash, and you have to change things up and just script the shows differently, change the format, come up with something new. I mean, it's more than one idea, but generally, I think they need to say what we've been doing for 20 years. It worked for a long time, but we need to freshen things up. Bottom line.
Yeah, it's one of those, I forget what show. I think it was the reviewer on our show, our open mic night. There was a great long quote from Heyman after Vince got ousted. And, it said, just because he's gone doesn't mean the entire formula is going to change. I think it does. I think we need to not rely so much on good or bad what Vince has done in the last 50 or 40 years and just big old shot in the arm and do something different. Do something to make people go, whoa, shit.
I agree, Jeff. We got some more super chats. So Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. And thank you, Psycho, for all your super chats. Much appreciated.
Buy him a burger. Jeez.
Better wrestling decade, the 2000s or 2010s?
I'll say 2000s for a couple reasons. One, we got to start with media stuff, but figure 2000 was, yes, the end of WCW and ECW, but the advent of Ring of Honor and TNA, which good and bad have been for those two companies. The 2010s has been a lot of WWE being stagnant, a lot of TNA completely going in the shitter in the early part of the decade, and the launch of the network, which on paper looked wonderful, but has been detrimental on the fronts too. To not just WWE, for the record. So I think 2000s, and plus there was so much, especially the first half of the decade. Golly, 2000 through, I'll say 2000 through John Cena being drafted to Raw. That portion of the decade, chef's kiss.
I mean, as far as pure star power goes, it's got to be the first decade of the millennium because he had The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, John Cena during his peak years, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho. 2010s, you had a lot of great wrestling, but not too many guys could live up to that star power. You did have John Cena, you got Roman Reigns, and a few others, but not at the level of the previous decade.
And then WWE, you figured 2000s, you had all the guys that weren't in WWE were in Ring of Honor or, TNA. Without the 2000s decade, AJ Styles wouldn't have become AJ Styles. Yeah. Same with, Daniels, Joe, everybody we had on the damn show. I mean, all those guys, definitely made their original mark in the 2000 to 2009 decade. And, Adrian kind of agreed with me, kind of, sort of. The Ruthless Aggression years, 2000, 2006, were, as far as the in-ring quality, I think was better. And I'll even make a hot take here. I'll say the storylines, with very few exceptions, were much more re-airable than the Attitude Era stuff on both companies, WCW and WWE. 2000, 2006, you could, get away with the stuff now, and the in-ring work was so spot on. I'm gonna disagree with that. I really am.
I mean, close.
Yeah, I mean, you guys remember something. There was nothing that WWE could not do. There was nothing that WWE could not do. Everything they touched turned to gold when Austin was on top, and The Rock and Triple H, Undertaker, and Mick Foley were all, right there. John Cena, Paul Heyman said it best on a whatever special it was. They were talking about, if he could bring back ECW or if he could have kept it going, John Cena would be his top draft pick. And people were like, what the hell? He had to carry the company Hogan style for longer than Hogan did, longer than Austin did, longer than The Rock did, longer than anybody did. He was the WWE face for 10 years. Plus he did Make-A-Wish. Plus he did this, plus he did that. Cena, regardless, no, I didn't forget. I didn't forget. And again, remember, 2010s, Punk was gone for more than half of that decade. Completely out of the business from 2014 till last year. And Bryan got hurt in 2014 and unretired toward the end of the decade, but then he left the company, and he kind of just, and the stories he had were just kind of there. Mo, I will say it may have been a political answer from Paul Heyman, but I think it was Paul and Joey Styles just talking. So I disagree with that being a political statement. Anyway, I think that John Cena definitely is in the talk of being one of the greatest ever. And I think that decade definitely solidified it. The 2000s, especially 2002 to 2006, when people were sick of Cena. Hell, I was swinging the chair on TV because Cena was champion. But,
Well, that kind of went off a little bit. We were talking about our favorite decade, and it went into is John Cena at the level of Stone Cold and The Rock?
Well, because the comment caught my eye.
All right. Not sure if Josh Mansfield or TJS is the youngest No DQ panel member.
Well, they're both under 24, I think. So,
yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to verify that later. Okay. Dustin said we missed a few of his super chats. I know we answered his Cornette one. I don't think we missed any, but if we did, I do apologize. And he did send in another one. He sent in $2. Says Billy Gunn is living his best run ever at 50. He's actually 59.
Is he really almost 60 years old?
He's almost 60, yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean, people always forget he's as tall as Hogan was when Hogan was Hulk Hogan. People forget that because Billy Gunn was such a tag team guy that people don't realize he's 6'8" in his prime. He's a big dude.
Billy Gunn, I mean, unlike Bart Gunn, Billy Gunn's had a pretty strong run in wrestling.
Billy Gunn overcame what could have been a shit-tastic about 3-4 years there with the Guns and then with Rockabilly, and really, thank God for DX, right?
The Real Wyatt says, can I be on a future video with Mo and Colin Andrew? Bray Wyatt, we'll make it happen.
Interfering, so, why not?
Yeah, Bray Wyatt, if you want to be on, then we'll make it happen, my man.
Right. So Josh is 25. I'm pretty sure Tyler's younger than that. So
yeah, he might be. I'm not sure. They're close.
Yeah.
Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Thank you. Says, who's creepier, Uncle Howdy or Rift Aronson? Uncle
Rift
Howdy.
Aronson. Rift Aronson, because he had the overdone Bray Wyatt hair and facial hair gimmick.
No, he was just not creepy at all, in my opinion.
Well, we disagree, I guess.
And we're never going to talk about him again.
That's right. Again, until the next time that we get super chatted about it.
You know. Adrian with a €5 super chat says, would you have Solo Sikoa beat Roman Reigns for the title? We were talking about Solo earlier, like his best years are to come. Could we get a little swerve out of this whole thing? If done right, it could be a slow burn like Batista and Triple H in 2005. Good point there, Adrian. I mean, it could. If it happens organically, I would be all for it.
It's a great point as long as the match delivers at the end, because it took took Hunter and Batista 3 times to get a match that really, nope, not happening. It took them 3 different times for them to get a quality main event worthy pay-per-view match out of that feud, which was sad.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it took the gimmick of a cell. I mean, unfortunately that it did, because the WrestleMania match, you were there for that, boss. That whole Mania after, women's title match on, not counting the Michaels Angle match, which was ungodly good. Yeah. The whole second half Mania kind of was what it was. Their match at Backlash was, I think, even worse. So, as long as Roman and Solo's done right, go for it.
Apparently, this Bray Wyatt is going to send Colin Andrew a sample video. Maybe we will get this real Wyatt on a future video. Yeah. B-Man with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I love Dominic, but he'll break out as soon as his balls drop. Whoa!
Whoa!
And I guess his question now is, who do y'all see the top 3 main eventers in AEW and WWE in 10 years? Jeff, I'll go first. And we mentioned some of these names earlier. MJF, should be Wardlow.
Yep.
And maybe Ricky Starks. He's another guy I see could be a top guy. And in WWE, Braun Breaker, Solo Sikoa. We just mentioned him before. I see him being a top guy for many years. And I'm not sure on the third person from WWE. Cody. I'll say Cody.
Cody may be a little long in the years. I will say boldly now, after what happened last night, Austin Theory.
Yeah, maybe. Never say never, right?
We learn never say never because Vince retired. So that's never going to be a thing.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, better Halloween movie. Halloween Ends or H2O?
I want to hear your answer on this. I'm curious.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, H2O for sure. Not that Halloween Ends was terrible. I mean, Halloween Resurrection was worse, but
okay. So you're my Halloween guy besides my buddy Bruce. Ends was not as bad as everybody is saying it is. I don't think it was anyway.
I did not think it was terrible or anything.
No, I will agree that if y'all haven't seen it, sorry, H2O ended because with the decapitation, and they retconned it, whatever, and Resurrection was the shit that it was. If they retconned the way this one ended, I will be the first one to go on camera and go, F this franchise in the A. Oh my God. But to answer the question, I still say H2O. And I say that because it was my gateway to the franchise. So it's a personal favorite.
There you go. City by the Bay sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, City by the Bay. Does Jade Cargill have mega star potential for AEW?
JJ seems to think she does. I'm still not sold yet.
Ooh, interesting. I mean, I like her, but
yeah.
Is she going to be carrying the company or being a big star in WWE? I think the jury's still out on it.
Yeah, I think she could be a potential big star in AEW if they continue this and don't completely botch it up. But she's still so green around the gills, even now. So it's hard to really make a determination.
Josh Mansfield sending in some super chats now. Thank you, Josh. Says, do you see Dominic getting Rey Mysterio's mask. Yes, WrestleMania, I think Rey is going to pass the torch to Dominic and give Dominic the mask. I think we will see that happen. WrestleMania, I would be shocked if it's not Rey versus Dominic at WrestleMania. Possibly Rey's final match.
Especially since it's in California, Southern California.
I mean, it would be very fitting, right?
Yep.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, seriously, one issue with AEW is that there should be a balance of young talent, old veterans, good women's matches, and people that can cut great promos.
That's an issue in every wrestling company.
I feel like they have a pretty good balance.
They do. They do. A lot of wrestling presentations post Ruthless Aggression era have had the problem of not having the balance.
Jeff, I'm gonna start getting angry here.
Oh, what happened? Oh,
I'm not even reading this. You read it.
Oh, no, I don't want to read it. But we thank you for your $2 contribution, you sick, twisted person, you. There you go. Carry on.
I do not appreciate that.
No. And by the way, you don't spell that word with a star in the middle unless you're trying to be cute, in which case you're not cute. So go away.
Go away, impersonator.
That's right, you false prophet, you.
You pay $8 a month and maybe we'll verify you.
That's right.
You got about $6 to go.
We'll talk to Elon for you. We'll make it happen, you big phony.
All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, what should be the new name of the Triple H era?
Oh, God.
The Triple H era. I got nothing.
Yeah, that works for me.
I mean, the post Vince era, maybe.
Yeah.
The distraction era.
Right. Yeah.
All right. This is not a wrestling question, but I guess because he super chatted real quick, off the top of your head, don't elaborate too much. Josh Mansfield said top 3 to 5 Christmas movies. Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2, the movie with the elf guy.
Elf.
Will Ferrell.
It's called Elf, dude.
Okay. And Christmas Vacation, of course.
Which I still...
And Bad Santa. Bad Santa. Those are my 5.
Oh, God. Oh, terrible. Oh, I can't stand Bad Santa. Miracle on 34th Street, Home Alone, I'll go with 2 over 1. And the Santa Claus, the first one with Tim Allen.
All right. On that note, Riff Darenson got me fired up here. I think it's time to call it a night. This was the greatest wrestling Q&A of all time. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being on. And go ahead and plug your channel. Let people know where they can find you throughout the week.
That's it. When it's working, you can go on jeffmeachernetwork.com. Catch me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the Gram if I ever go live on there again, which doesn't happen very often. But yeah, we'll be on this weekend covering the NWA pay-per-view, whoever's left on that damn roster. And yeah, you won't see me back on the air before then, unless we get the Dad's episode posted, which I'm going to try to do tonight. But yeah, thank you all for, 20 years. It's been a wild ride, Mr. Toad style on this with Aaron over the 20 years. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Chris Kloss's expression is everything, not just looking at Veronica, but just the overall theme of the night. Bug eyes, like, oh my God. And look at what interviews being featured there. The Bobby Heenan interview, which was just such a pivotal moment for us. Yeah,
that was the first year of XMV. That looks like November of 2002. So yeah, about 20 years ago. I almost said 10 years ago, Jeff.
Right.
20 years ago. We had the Extreme Mayhem website up with as you can see, the Real Media files, as we talked about earlier, Windows Media Audio, and
listen to the show in WMA format like it was the biggest thing ever. Yeah, Bobby, I'll tell you what, Bobby, the first time I interviewed Bobby was, like I said, November of 2002. It was right around his birthday. Bobby, I said this and I mean it. God damn, I'm getting emotional again, Aaron. Jeez. 20 years later, Bobby and Dusty and Rob Van Dam definitely got us through the early years as far as having people support us and be willing to subject themselves to our batch of crazy. So I thank them. Of course, Bobby and Dusty, I thank, more I thank them. Rob, I always thank Rob. He's become a friend through this shit. But thank you to everybody. Everybody, God, to the super chatters of the night, I appreciate you, because the damn YouTube channel is not paying out on my end no more. So thank God for the mouse hiring me, and thank you all for contributing to this, and thank you all for contributing to the fandom over the 24 years for Aaron and the 20 for the two of us. It's definitely weird to be a fan of. It'll be 32 years. It's been 32 years now. I just passed the anniversary, and to be in doing this for 20 is just mind-boggling. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. This was a great stream tonight. Maybe not the greatest, but one of the great Q&A streams for wrestling, I would hope.
As always, a review, thank God.
It was a pleasure, everybody. NoDQ.com merchandise.
Oh, super chat. Thank you. There it is.
Psycho Jet Black says, seriously, thank you for over 20 years of content. We appreciate you, Psycho Jet Black. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. We love you all. Thank you all so much again. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. And Jeff, we'll do this again soon. Take care, my friend. Have a great night, everybody. And we will see you all next time.